Chapter 1957. Lantern Festival. They also arranged for a special break for the guards. Those with no pressing duties were permitted to take time off and enjoy some leisure activities. Grateful for the gesture, the guards happily expressed their thanks. After indulging in the glutinous rice balls, they gathered their friends and ventured out in groups to join the festivities. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan decided to explore the Lantern Festival together. However, Anan, still too young and with the crowds at the festival, was left behind. Despite missing out on the Lantern Festival, Anan was entertained by the numerous lights in the yard. Unbeknownst to him, Xiao Xian slipped out of the door. The Lantern Festival grounds had been meticulously planned by the Yamen, featuring 2 long streets and a spacious square interconnected. Tonight, access to the area was restricted, with no carriages or horses allowed entry, and bailiffs stationed at the entrances. Stepping off the wagon, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan found themselves engulfed by a bustling throng of revelers. So many lights, such a lively atmosphere. Next year, when Anan is a bit older, we'll bring him along too, Xiao Xian remarked with a smile, envisioning future outings with her child. Xiao Yunduan assisted Xiao Xian in fastening her cloak, adorned with rose-red embroidery and rabbit fur trim, before intertwining his fingers with hers and guiding her forward. Anan is still young. He'll be fine on his own. This year's Lantern Festival held a dual significance, commemorating the triumph over the bandits and celebrating the appointment of the new Lord Prefect. Merchants and prominent families spared no expense in adorning the streets with a dazzling array of decorations. The streets were aglow with myriad lanterns, each more splendid than the last. Xiao Yunduan admired them as they strolled, marveling not only at their exquisite designs and illustrations, but also at the diverse materials you see: Euro silk, gauze craft paper, snow wave paper, mulberry paper, wood, bamboo, feathers, glass, jade, and more. Each lantern boasted intricate craftsmanship, adorned with silk, jade, beads, and threads, captivating the eyes of passers-by. In the spacious plaza, enormous lanterns resembling miniature houses adorned the surroundings, their brilliance imbued with symbols of auspiciousness: Euro pine cranes, springtime scenes, carps leaping over the dragon gate, change ascending to the moon, flourishing lotus flowers, and bamboos signifying safety. Crowds gathered around these magnificent displays, pausing to admire, jest, and point in awe. Numerous grand lanterns were adorned with vibrant floral arrangements, surrounded by pots of blooming lilies, chrysanthemums, coxcombs, and more, enhancing the festive ambience. Xiao Xian was filled with excitement, unable to contain her praises. Yet amidst her admiration, a tinge of regret lingered. It was a shame that such a picturesque scene couldn't be captured in photographs. If she wished to behold it again after today, she'd have to wait until the following year. Xiao Yunduan reserved a private room at a tea house overlooking the square. As they made their way toward it, intending to savor the scenery from the comfort of the tea house, they unexpectedly encountered Mrs. Jia and 2 other acquaintances, also immersed in lantern admiration. Mrs. Jia and her companions approached them with greetings, prompting Xiao Xian to extend her hospitality. One of the ladies, Mrs. Lin, suggested they join her in the private room. Madame Jia and Mrs. Long chimed in, smiling warmly. Reluctant to appear inhospitable and mindful of preserving social decorum, Xiao Xian acquiesced with a smile, urging Xiao Yunduan to return home with her. The 3 ladies were delighted by Xiao Xian's decision, bidding farewell to Xiao Yunduan politely before accompanying Xiao Xian to the tea house. Chapter 1958. Accident. Xiao Yunduan sighed helplessly, resigning himself to the situation. It was disappointing that he had taken his wife out to enjoy the lanterns, only for her to be whisked away by Mrs. Jia. Thankfully, they had spent most of the evening shopping. Otherwise, his disappointment would have been even greater. With Xiao Xian now occupied, Xiao Yunduan found himself reluctant to venture to the tea house alone. Feeling somewhat foolish sitting by himself amidst the bustling crowd, he decided to head back the way they came. Considering the scale of the Lantern Festival, the government had undoubtedly made extensive preparations. Bailiffs were stationed strategically, and city gate patrols remained vigilant. Xiao Xian was accompanied by Li Xia, Li Qiu, Mian Mian, and Ai Yi, while Xiao Yunduan had Sun Bai and his men ensuring his safety. However, Xiao Yunduan hadn't anticipated causing trouble while out shopping. As he navigated the bustling market, a sudden shove sent him off balance, causing him to collide with a woman. She let out a cry of surprise as the delicate glass lantern she held slipped from her grasp and shattered upon impact. Feeling somewhat embarrassed, Xiao Yunduan glanced around, grateful that his current disguise had kept his identity hidden. It wouldn't have looked good for the dignified lord of the prefect state to be seen causing such a mishap. Xiao Yunduan instructed Sun Bai, who was nearby, to handle the situation and compensate the girl for the broken lantern before leaving promptly. The girl's expression froze in disbelief. Lord Xiao hadn't even spared her a glance? Sun Bai, accustomed to handling matters efficiently, approached the girl. Having served in the Crown Prince's East Palace, he was well versed in dealing with various situations. Observing the timing of the collision, occurring shortly after Madame Jiao's departure, and the subsequent breakage of the girl's lantern, he couldn't help but find the circumstances suspicious. His gaze towards the girl grew more guarded. "Miss, how much is this glass lamp worth? I will compensate you accordingly." The girl forced a smile, insisting, "You can't blame that young gentleman just now. It was my own carelessness. I cannot accept compensation from you. Miss, you're being too modest. Our master wouldn't want to owe anyone. It's better to accept compensation." Though she refused compensation now, there was no telling what complications might arise later. It was better to settle the matter promptly to avoid future disputes. The situation took a more serious turn due to Xiao Yunduan's status as the lord of the prefect. The girl attempted to refuse the compensation once again, but found herself unable to do so. To her surprise, she noticed that the individuals who had pushed her had not yet departed. They lingered nearby, pointing and laughing amongst themselves, seemingly discussing something. With a determined glare, the girl confronted them, angrily pointing them out. "You're the ones who pushed me just now, causing me to accidentally bump into that young gentleman and break the glass lamp. You should be responsible for compensating for it. Xiaoyi, Xiaochun, don't let them leave. They need to pay." Her two maidservants swiftly obeyed, rushing over to confront the individuals and demand compensation. Tensions escalated rapidly, and the atmosphere grew charged with conflict. Chapter 1959. Misunderstanding. Amidst the escalating argument, Sun Bai, accompanied by his subordinate, found himself unable to depart immediately. Frowning inwardly, he couldn't help but cast a reproachful glance at the woman embroiled in the dispute. In his mind, Sun Bai couldn't comprehend why such a fuss was being made over a mere glass lamp. Regardless of its value, there was a limit to its worth. His lord was certainly not lacking in wealth. He could easily afford to compensate for it, no matter the cost. Sun Bai was certain that Xiao Yunduan wouldn't haggle or fuss over such a trivial matter. Why then was this woman causing such a scene? Watching the woman's two maidservants engage in heated argument with the others only served to heighten Sun Bai's irritation. However, he opted not to intervene. After all, it wasn't his place to mediate. Besides, taking sides would only complicate matters further. Deciding to observe from the sidelines and await a resolution, Sun Bai failed to realize the implications of his inaction. This was the Lantern Festival, a bustling event teeming with crowds. It was a magnet for onlookers eager to witness any spectacle. Before Sun Bai could discern the gravity of the situation, a throng had gathered around, drawn by the commotion. As the crowd swelled, the likelihood of encountering acquaintances increased exponentially. With the growing crowd, the likelihood of encountering acquaintances skyrocketed. Especially for someone like Sun Bai, a constable of the An's province's government office, known to many in the city. True to expectations, it didn't take long for someone to recognize him amidst the throng. Before long, a familiar face approached Sun Bai, offering greetings and inquiring about the situation, offering assistance if needed. The sharp-witted maidservant, Xiaoyi, seized the opportunity to amplify the situation, raising her voice to draw attention. Boom. In no time, the entire gathering was abuzz with speculation. As rumors spread, they took on a life of their own, growing increasingly absurd. Soon, the tale morphed into a sensationalized narrative. Lord Xiao, witnessing an injustice, unsheathed his sword to defend a young and beautiful woman being harassed by ruffians in the lantern market, accidentally shattering a glass lamp in the process. His chivalrous act sparked awe and admiration throughout the crowd. The romantic gossip between a man and a woman had always been a favorite topic of discussion among the locals. Even the slightest hint of a connection would set imaginations alight, sparking wild interpretations and rampant rumors. The intrigue was heightened by the fact that one party was a young and beautiful heiress from an obscure family, while the other was a rising star, the Lord Prefect. The tantalizing 8 trigrams between them fueled endless curiosity and speculation. As the crowd swelled that night, Sunbai began to sense that something was amiss. Dismissing the instigators and compensating the girl with silver, he attempted to clarify the situation. However, some people were more inclined to believe their own fantasies than the truth. There were even those who cynically believed that Sunbai's explanations were merely attempts to cover up the real story. As for Sunbai's true intentions? Well, that was a secret he couldn't divulge. Her speculation wasn't unfounded. It had a basis. After all, why would Constable Sun escort that girl home that night if there wasn't something between her and Lord Xiao? It seemed like the most logical conclusion. Upon hearing this later on, Sunbai couldn't help but feel dejected. The girl had pleaded with him pitifully to accompany her home, citing fear of further harassment from the instigators. Faced with a vulnerable trio of women in the dead of night, Sunbai found it impossible to refuse. Chapter 1960. Unexpected. If anything were to happen to that girl, it could potentially implicate Lord Xiao, making the situation difficult to explain. From Sunbai's perspective, he had simply escorted her home, ensuring her safety with the presence of his subordinates and 2 acquaintances. He had believed it would be a straightforward task, but he hadn't anticipated the ensuing rumors. In reality, the moment the girl accidentally shattered the glass lamp on Xiao Yinduan, events spiraled out of his control. Both Xiao Yinduan and Sunbai remained unaware of the rumors circulating about them. For Xiao Yinduan, it was a minor incident that he swiftly left behind, delegating to Sunbai without further concern. As for Sunbai, he too saw the night's events as uneventful and quickly moved on. With the demands of post-spring festival responsibilities looming, neither of them gave much thought to the incident thereafter. Thus, he found himself at a disadvantage. This was the unfolding narrative. Meanwhile, Xiao Xian and Mrs. Jia didn't linger long at the festival, as women typically didn't stay out late. By the time Xiao Xian returned home, Xiao Yinduan had already retired for the night, and Anan was sound asleep. The couple settled into their room, and the night passed without incident. With the conclusion of the spring festival, Xiao Yinduan was consumed with tasks like rice planting and road repairs, leaving little room for leisure. Given that the rice seeds had been provided by the government the previous year, Xiao Yinduan intended to continue his partnership with Yuezheng Xiao for this year's crop. However, no one could guarantee the same yield as last year. It was widely regarded as a stroke of luck, an anomaly in the Lord Prefect's favor. Xiao Xian recognized the importance of managing expectations moving forward. If the same level of prosperity from the previous year was expected again this year and beyond, disappointment and resentment among the people would inevitably arise. With this in mind, Xiao Xian decided against intervening in the rice production this year, including her own 60,000 mu of paddy fields. Upon returning from their hunting trip in Meili Town, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had already conferred with Jia Hemming and others regarding the road repairs, and the project was now officially underway. The infrastructure of An's province had languished for numerous years, leaving the roads to various towns in dire need of repair. In the 3 towns near the capital city, the road conditions were relatively better. However, as one moved further away from the capital, the road conditions deteriorated significantly. The 2 towns furthest away faced substantial challenges in transporting rice seeds and collecting taxes on public grain every year. The state of those roads was a constant headache for authorities. Xiao Yunduan agreed with his wife's perspective. He realized that if they aimed to prosper, they needed to prioritize road construction. Inadequate transportation infrastructure would hamper the exchange of goods, hindering commoners from bringing out specialty products for sale. Their own families' experiences underscored this point. To achieve prosperity, they needed to engage in commerce. Engaging in commerce didn't necessarily mean everyone becoming a merchant. Their family could sell various products like tea leaves, silver fungus, medicinal herbs, mushrooms, and fruits for profit. However, the lack of a reliable road network made buying and selling incredibly inconvenient. Following the 15th, Xiao Yunduan dispatched a reliable scribe to enlist locals familiar with the terrain to survey and record the land, laying the groundwork for road construction. Chapter 1961. Busy. Most of the road repairs involved filling in the original foundation and widening some sections. The overall layout remained largely unchanged, provided one was willing to endure hardship and adhere to provincial regulations. Manpower for road repairs was readily available through conscription, with nearby commoners providing the necessary labor force. The government historically employed this method whenever manpower was needed. However, the real challenge lay in financing the road repairs. Procuring materials such as stone, wood, sand, and essential medical supplies, particularly trauma medication, required significant funds. Additionally, providing daily meals for laborers was essential, as Xiao Yunduan insisted on ensuring they worked on full stomachs. Laborers engaged in physical work typically consumed large quantities of food, often requiring 5 or 6 fist-sized steamed buns each, or even more to feel satisfied. Meeting these financial demands posed a considerable obstacle. While the state office's finances had improved somewhat, they were not yet affluent enough to freely allocate funds for such projects. Furthermore, the road repairs presented an opportunity to solicit donations from wealthy families and businessmen who stood to benefit the most from the improved infrastructure. Xiao Yunduan had been actively engaged in negotiations for contributions in addition to his regular duties. Meanwhile, Xiao Xian was equally occupied with her own responsibilities. She had plans to cultivate a variety of herbs, star anise, peppers, and fruit trees in large quantities this year. Ensuring the success of these endeavors required careful planning and execution, leaving her with a full schedule each day. Despite their busy lives, the couple still found moments to express their affection for each other and spend quality time with Anan. Unbeknownst to them, rumors were circulating widely among the elite families, but they had yet to reach the general public. As days passed swiftly, 5 days had already slipped by unnoticed. 5 days was enough to confirm the rumors in the public's heart. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian did not come out to refute the rumors, and even those who did not believe it at first started to believe it. If Xiao Yunduan had taken action when the rumors first began to circulate, perhaps he wouldn't be so frustrated now. On this particular day, Mrs. Jia approached Xiao Xian with a hesitant demeanor, as if she had something to discuss. When Xiao Xian inquired with a friendly smile, Mrs. Jia hesitantly brought up the rumor she had heard. "I've heard a rumor that Lord Xiao has set his sights on the third daughter of the Lu family, and intends to take her as his concubine," Mrs. Jia murmured. "They say the third daughter of the Lu family is gentle and kind-hearted, not one to stir up trouble. But with the Mei family's influence, Lord Xiao wouldn't dare disrespect his wife, would he?" Xiao Xian was taken aback, her mind reeling with disbelief. "The third daughter of the Lu family? How is she connected to the Mei family? And my husband liking her? Where on earth did you hear such nonsense?" Xiao Xian found the idea preposterous. While it was true that wealth could sometimes change a person, there had to be some indication, some shift in behavior. Yet, for the past few days her husband had been affectionate and attentive, showering her with affection. They had made plans to spend quality time together, enjoying leisurely outings with Anan, and even discussing future trips to Liuhe Manor for hunting and exploration. Chapter 1962. Ridiculous. Why would Xiao Yunduan suddenly fall for the third daughter of the Lu family? After all, Xiao Yunduan was just a prefect in a remote area, recently emerging from a perilous situation. He hadn't even reached a high rank yet, and their good days were just beginning. It seemed absurd for him to act so arrogantly. Mrs. Jia was equally surprised by Xiao Xian's reaction. "Madam Xiao, are you serious? Don't you know?" Xiao Xian couldn't help but chuckle. "If I didn't know my husband so well, I might have fallen for it too. It's clearly just baseless gossip. What a ridiculous notion." But her amusement quickly turned to anger. "Who spread such malicious rumors? If I find out, they'll regret it." She couldn't fathom the malicious intent behind spreading such falsehoods. Butayuro, Mrs. Jia faltered, looking perplexed. This news has been circulating for days. I heard that Lord Xiao rescued a damsel in distress during the Lantern Festival. Euro, sensing that something was amiss, Xiao Xian pressed Mrs. Jia for more information. True to her character, Mrs. Jia divulged all she knew, unwilling to hide anything from Xiao Xian. The rumors sounded plausible and confident, and with so many witnesses, it was easy to believe. Lord Xiao had even requested Constable Sun to escort Miss Lu home. The fact that Lord Xiao didn't refute the rumors only fueled their spread. Mrs. Jia couldn't help but sympathize with Xiao Xian when she saw the distress in her eyes. Dealing with such widespread rumors would undoubtedly be challenging. She feared that Madame Xiao might eventually have to acquiesce to Lord Xiao taking Miss Lu as a concubine. If not, regardless of the justification Lord Xiao provided for rejecting her, he would be seen as a heartless villain. Fortunately, third Miss Lu was the daughter of a concubine, and even the niece of the Mei family's first madam couldn't exert much influence. Xiao Xian quickly grasped the situation. Her husband had been framed. It was possible that the Mei family and the Lu family were behind this scheme. However, neither Sun Bai nor her husband seemed to take the matter seriously. They had been preoccupied with other tasks in recent days, and even Songshi and the others were busy. Consequently, while there was likely an uproar outside, their lack of response might be interpreted as either tacit approval or guilt. This was becoming quite troublesome. Although she was only a concubine's daughter, she still had a reputation to uphold. If the situation didn't resolve favorably, it could tarnish her reputation irreparably. This could even force a fabricated relationship to become a reality. Those schemers. Xiao Xian seethed with anger. Mrs. Jia took her leave soon after. The moment she departed, Xiao Xian instructed Mian Mian and Ah Yi to gather information. In truth, if they didn't gather information, they wouldn't know the extent of the situation. However, if they did, the need to ask would be unnecessary. Xiao Xian summoned Xiao Yunduan back. Xiao Yunduan was utterly perplexed, even more so than Xiao Xian. Initially, he had no clue what Xiao Xian was talking about. This only added to the confusion. Who was this third daughter of the Lu family? He didn't know her, nor did he owe her anything. Regarding the incident at the Lantern Festival, it was true that someone had accidentally bumped into him. As the prefect of the state, he had to compensate, regardless of whether he was at fault. Little did he expect it would escalate into such a mess. Xiao Yunduan grew frustrated. What is the Mei family plotting? Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel a twinge of jealousy. Now they all think that my husband is so lonely without anyone to look after him, so he should be showing concern for her. Chapter 1963. Anger. Hadn't it always been like this since ancient times? Officials and merchants colluded. Ah no, they cooperated. One party provided backing, while the other received monetary rewards. The Mei family might not have been the only ones contemplating such actions. It was just that the Mei family had acted first. After all, she was merely a concubine's daughter. So what if the process lacked glory? She was just Theta, a concubine's daughter. Regardless of a merchant's power, they remained a merchant. Offering the daughter of a concubine to an official as a concubine, particularly to a young and promising official with a bright future, wouldn't bring shame to their family. Rather, it would be seen as an honor. Furthermore, it could yield benefits in the future. In any case, the Lu family wouldn't come out at a loss. They must have presented their proposal to Xiao Yunduan, who turned them down. That was why Xiao Xian felt reassured. Now wasn't the time for jealousy. Xiao Xian merely voiced his grievances. The primary concern was how to address this issue. As a local powerhouse, the Mei family wielded significant control over public sentiment. They adeptly manipulated and stoked the flames to ensure events unfolded seemingly naturally, detached from their involvement. 5 days had passed since the incident, and Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had missed the prime window for investigation and clarification. Even the rowdy individuals implicated in the night's events likely found themselves swiftly dealt with by the Mei family and relocated. With little recourse, Xiao Yunduan felt a deep sense of frustration. His sole solace lay in the fact that his wife remained understanding and refrained from causing a scene, sparing him further trouble. Expressing his discontent with both the Mei and Lu families, Xiao Yunduan sought to reassure Qiao Xian. He vowed to resolve the issue and adamantly declared his refusal to marry the third daughter of the Lu family. Come what may in the court of public opinion, he was determined to dispel these rumors. Even if faced with criticism for not initially addressing the rumors, Xiao Yunduan felt compelled to set the record straight. Upon learning of the situation that day, he resolved not to let the rumors persist unchecked. Without delay, that very afternoon, Xiao Yunduan refuted the rumors and provided a full account of the events from that fateful night. Simultaneously, he steered and managed public opinion. As the prefect lord, honesty was his cornerstone. There was no need for deceit. If he truly harbored affection for Miss Lu, who happened to be a concubine's daughter, he believed that his sincerity alone would suffice to persuade the Lu family to consent to her joining him. There was no need for him to resort to rumors tantamount to coercion. Hence, this rumor was undoubtedly unfounded and certainly not of his making. His prior silence stemmed from his preoccupation with agricultural matters and road maintenance, leaving him oblivious to external affairs. Similarly, his wife, engrossed in farming, paid little heed to external happenings. The unfolding of events caught him off guard, and he acknowledged his fault in inadvertently implicating the innocent Miss Lu. He came forth to testify to Miss Lu's innocence and expressed his remorse, vowing to compensate the Lu family accordingly. Should the Lu family stipulate any condition, barring illegal or unethical demands, he pledged to fulfill them to the best of his ability. This assurance carried weight, for he held the esteemed position of prefect lord of An's prefecture city. Failure to uphold his word publicly would tarnish his reputation and jeopardize his future endeavors. Chapter 1964. Self-recommendation. Simultaneously, Xiao Yunduan gravely addressed the presence of an instigator working behind the scenes to sow discord between himself, the Lu family, and the Mei family. Their aim was to disrupt the harmony and progress of An's prefecture. Such a person was utterly despicable. He pledged to launch a covert investigation to uncover the identity of this malicious individual. Once found, they would face severe consequences for their sinister actions. These words reverberated with shock among the onlookers. Many were intimidated into silence, refraining from reckless discussions. Even if the flames of discontent burned within, they dared only to confide in their families behind closed doors, avoiding any brazen remarks. The citizens of An City were well aware of Lord Xiao's capabilities. His stern warning quelled any further impudence. Despite their influence, were they as formidable as the bandits from the three villages? To Xiao Yunduan's surprise, second Old Master Lu, the father of third Miss Lu, visited the prefect's office the following day. Reluctantly, Xiao Yunduan appeared, understanding the gravity of the situation, despite his inner discontent. Second Old Master Lu approached with genuine contrition. He bowed deeply to Xiao Yunduan, expressing profound apologies and acknowledging the fault of the Lu family in the unfolding events. He explained that the Lu family had been caught off guard by the rumors, utterly bewildered by the situation. Given the involvement of the prefect lord, they hesitated to make any hasty remarks, fearing inadvertent offense. To do so would be a grave transgression. Hence, they awaited the prefect lord's declaration, hoping to gauge his stance first. Little did they anticipate that the prefect lord, engrossed in his administrative duties, remained unaware of the situation until it had escalated to its current stadia. The Lu family's shame was palpable. Xiao Yunduan clenched his jaw. Devoid of the Mei family's support, Xiao Yunduan found it difficult to believe that the Lu family would feign ignorance and perform a charade before him. As one of An's province's two prominent family clans, the Mei family managed to deceive everyone except him, displaying audacity bordering on arrogance by not even fearing his ire. Xiao Yunduan had little patience for second Old Master Lu's lengthy explanations. Cutting him off, he declared the matter resolved. As long as the Lu family remained reasonable, all would be well. His assurances stood firm. If the Lu family harbored any requests within his capacity to fulfill, he would not hesitate to oblige. To his surprise, second Old Master Lu made an immediate plea. He implored Xiao Yunduan to take Lu Xianyun as his concubine. Lord Xiao, you've met the girl. She is suitable to serve both you and your wife. The Lu family's sincerity is genuine, and the girl herself is willing. I earnestly hope that Lord Xiao can grant my wish. Lord Xiao, I understand your demanding schedule, and it might be challenging for Madame Xiao to manage alone. Despite my daughter's delicate appearance, she has received a thorough education from her mother. If she accompanies you and Madame, she will undoubtedly adhere to the rules and never overstep her bounds. You can trust in her obedience, Lord. Furthermore, with your formidable capabilities, who would dare to flout the regulations under your watchful eye? Given the circumstances, my daughter is, after all, a woman. This situation is somewhat in addition, perhaps it is fate. It seems too coincidental otherwise, don't you think? Chapter 1965. Three Mei Brothers. Lord, I implore you to grant my request. Second Old Master Lu pleaded earnestly. He subtly hinted at Lu Xianyan's upbringing, emphasizing her education in etiquette, painting, and calligraphy since childhood. Should she become part of the Lu family, they would spare no expense on her dowry. Xiao Yunduan found Second Old Master Lu's words repugnant. Maintaining his composure, he instructed someone to escort Second Old Master Lu out of the room. The atmosphere within the prefectural government office had changed. Such brazenness and shamelessness were no longer tolerated. Despite his indignation, Second Old Master Lu refrained from causing a scene, his demeanor darkening as he departed in disappointment. His resilience was noteworthy. Though he left Xiao Yunduan's presence crestfallen, he regained his composure and dignity upon reaching the court's entrance, appearing calm and refined once more. It was as if he was having a great conversation with Lord Xiao. Those who didn't know better would think that he was satisfied. Second Old Master Lu did not go home directly. The carriage circled the streets and found a secluded alley with few people. After making many turns, he quietly entered through the corner door at the back of the Mei residence. The three old masters of the Mei family were all at home. It seemed like they were still waiting for him. How's that? How is it? Second Old Master Lu smiled bitterly. What did you say? Under the interrogation of the three brothers of the Mei family, Second Old Master Lu recounted the process of meeting Xiao Yunduan in detail. The more the three brothers of the Mei family listened, the worse their expressions became. Second Old Master Lu, the serious second brother-in-law of the Mei family, had always been a little afraid. Moreover, the Mei family was much stronger than the Lu family. Seeing this scene, they could not help but feel anxious and puzzled. However, he did not dare to say anything, let alone ask. Lord Xiao doesn't like anything. What does he want? You want someone like Madame Xiao, right? But I don't think that Madame Xiao is anything good. What do we do now? The three brothers of the Mei family were extremely depressed. Second Old Master Lu observed the exchange, attempting a smile as he spoke. Perhaps it's best to put this matter behind us. With Lord Xiao's clarification, I doubt anyone will dare to speak out. Besides, there's talk of compensation. What do you understand? Third Old Master Mei interjected furiously. Clarification? Who needed clarification when they were eager for the rumors to gain traction? And compensation? What good would it do? It wasn't that they doubted Xiao Yunduan's sincerity, but they knew it wasn't what they desired. Second Old Master Lu remained silent, inwardly lamenting. Even before the Fan family's demise, the Mei family stood at the forefront of the three prominent families in An's prefecture city. Their prosperity in recent years had made them a towering presence akin to the sun in the sky. What cause did they have for fear? For Xiao Yunduan to effectively govern An's prefecture and foster economic growth, he relied on the support of these prominent families. With the Fan family already eliminated, if Xiao Yunduan were to unjustly harm the Mei family, wouldn't he worry about the repercussions from other influential families? If the region were to destabilize, he, as the governing official, could forget about maintaining stability. Surely he wasn't so foolish? He struggled to comprehend their intentions. Chapter 1966. One direct strike. First Master Mei asked Second Old Master Lu to go back first. The moment he left, the three old masters of the Mei family became even more frustrated. Elder brother, I feel uneasy. It won't be good if this matter isn't resolved. Lord Xiao is so difficult to deal with. Elder brother, what should we do? Alas. Old Master Mei also felt unprecedented frustration. Lord Xiao wasn't motivated by wealth or enticed by beauty, and his family couldn't offer him power. It seemed he lacked any other interests. Even if he did have hobbies, his family likely couldn't provide anything to captivate him. With his abundant wealth, wouldn't he simply procure whatever he desired? Consider his swift acquisition of the vast land around Lioha Fort. Not to mention the 60,000 mu of fertile land and numerous shops formerly belonging to the Fan family. He made these purchases without hesitation. Not to mention, the state government still owed their family over 100,000 taels of silver. Even if they resorted to force, they wouldn't stand a chance against him. It was like facing an impregnable fortress. What could they possibly do against such a formidable opponent? After a pause, Old Master Mei spoke slowly. Do you think Lord Xiao suspects our involvement in the Lu family's affair? Third Old Master Mei, never one for subtlety, blurted out. Of course he might. Otherwise, why would the Lu family dare to act? Old Master Mei sneered. Indeed. If that's the case, since we've already incurred his displeasure, why not go all the way? Their family didn't necessarily need to be on good terms with Lord Xiao. They simply needed to remain indispensable. Whether the relationship between the Mei and Lu families was coerced or genuinely harmonious mattered little. Thus, when Xiao Yunduan refuted the rumors and silence prevailed, Second Ms. Lu accompanied Lu Xianyan to the state office the day after Second Old Master Lu's visit. They requested to see Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian had just briefed Mian Mian, Songshi, and Lu Fu on the impending arrival of the first batch of pepper and fruit trees, instructing them to prepare for planting. She also outlined plans for decorating the mansion at Lioha Manor. Upon hearing of Second Ms. Lu's arrival, she adjusted her attire with a smirk. The antics of the Lu family were rather amusing. Hadn't her husband already made himself abundantly clear? As the lord of the prefect, was there any need for him to deceive? Naturally, the reputation of this young lady from the Lu family remained untarnished. They came yesterday and came today. They were so insensible. Did they really want to marry and not become enemies? Greetings, Madame Xiao. Greetings, Madame Xiao. Second Ms. Lu led Lu Xianyan and her attendants, who knelt upon arrival. Lu Xianyan introduced herself, prompting Qiao Xian to cast another glance at her. With a smile, Qiao Xian invited them to sit and ordered tea. Second Ms. Lu, what brings you here? As soon as Second Ms. Lu settled, she rose again, prompting Lu Xianyan to follow suit. Madame Xiao, I implore your mercy. I come to plead on behalf of someone. Pretending ignorance, Qiao Xian arched an eyebrow, feigning innocence. That's peculiar. I can't fathom why the Lu family would seek my clemency. Second Ms. Lu, are you jesting with me? I wouldn't dare jest with you, Madame Xiao. No matter your intelligence, dignity, and virtue, I wouldn't dare deceive you. It's all because of this girl. Chapter 1967. Leaving her behind. I understand that the blame has been directed towards the Lu family for this incident. We were sluggish in our response and nearly tarnished Lord Xiao's reputation. I extend my sincerest apologies to you and Lord Xiao. Qiao Xian didn't concern herself with whether this was a retreat or not. An apology was forthcoming, and she accepted it. It's true that the Lu family's reaction to this matter was delayed. Our lord is occupied and genuinely unaware of these rumors. Likewise, I was unaware. Had I known, I would have promptly stepped in to address the falsehoods. Why didn't you dispatch someone to inform us sooner? Allowing these rumors to fester and tarnish your daughter's reputation is quite lamentable. Second Ms. Lu was taken aback. Yes, Madame Xiao, you're correct. Qiao Xian continued. So your purpose in coming here is to apologize for this? That's unnecessary. Our lord has already quashed the rumors, and he's not one to hold grudges. Once the misunderstanding is cleared, he won't hold you accountable. Second Ms. Lu remained speechless. Qiao Xian had conveyed her message. However, recalling her eldest sister-in-law's counsel, Qiao Xian realized there was more she needed to address, despite having said quite a bit already. However, Second Ms. Lu didn't dare to say any nice words or play any tricks. Madame Xiao didn't fall for it at all. Second Ms. Lu feigned ignorance of Qiao Xian's implication, gazing at her with sincerity. Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao, I appreciate your kindness, but not everyone in this world possesses such generosity. There are countless fools who revel in mocking and attacking my third daughter with their vile words. She suffers unjustly. Madam Xiao, today I come to plead, despite the discomfort it brings me, to beseech you to allow the three of us to remain. We have been educated in etiquette and manners since childhood through women's ring and women's training. We are well behaved and modest. We can assist you in shouldering your burdens. Rest assured, Madam Xiao, upon entering your household, she will dutifully obey your instructions and defer to your authority. She will seek your guidance in all matters and never act against your wishes. I implore you, Madam Xiao, to grant her a place to reside and silence those who gossip. I beg of you to show compassion. Lu Xianyan cast a pitiful glance at Xiao Xian before humbly lowering her head and kneeling silently, displaying her submission. Xiao Xian remained silent. Second Ms. Lu persisted. Madam Xiao, forgive me for overstepping my bounds. Lord Xiao is young, talented, and destined for greatness. He may one day ascend to high office. Currently, he lacks a companion, but in the future he will possess wealth and influence beyond your capacity to manage alone. Rather than risk him forming ties with individuals ignorant of his background and beyond your control, it's prudent to plan ahead. I cannot promise much, but I assure you that my third daughter will be faithful and obedient to you. You need only guide her, and the Lu family will not intervene. Chapter 1968. Personally send it back. If you doubt our sincerity, am willing to swear an oath, written and witnessed. I can even have our third miss swear to it. We're earnest in our request, Madam Xiao. Please grant it. Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel perplexed. Why was the Mei family so insistent? Did they possess such discerning taste? Were they so confident in her husband's future success that they felt compelled to issue an early warning? Well, address the future when it arrives. Am not one to concern myself with long-term planning. After all, circumstances can change unexpectedly, can't they? No plan, no matter how meticulous, can guarantee a smooth journey ahead. Am rather obstinate and inclined to disregard advice. Second Ms. Lu, there's no need for further discussion. Let's conclude this matter here. If there's nothing else, Second Ms. Lu, kindly escort Third Miss Lu back. Madam Xiaoyuro, Li Xiao see our guests off. Yes, Second Ms. Lu, this way please. Li Xia and Li Qiu, irked by Second Ms. Lu's persistence, hastened to usher her out. With no alternative, Second Ms. Lu rose and departed. Lu Xianyan obediently followed her mother out of the office. However, just as they were about to depart the back office, Second Ms. Lu claimed she had dropped her handkerchief and instructed Lu Xianyan to retrieve it for her. Lu Xianyan dutifully turned back to search, only to find herself abandoned as Second Ms. Lu departed with the maidservants. Meanwhile, Lu Xianyan, fulfilling her filial duty, eventually located a handkerchief for her birth mother. However, she was not inside the office. Rather, she knelt before the east gate of the state government office. Passers-by couldn't help but crane their necks, murmuring in hushed tones and speculating about the situation. Xiao Xian swiftly caught wind of the situation, her expression darkening. Li Xia and the others were taken aback. Has the Lu family lost their minds? How audacious! Madam, what shall we do now? We cannot allow Third Miss Lu to kneel there indefinitely. Indeed, it's improper for others to witness this. Those unaware may assume our household mistreats Harayuro. This person naturally could not stay there, nor could he be called in. Lu Xianyan was alone. If she was asked to enter the east courtyard now, it would be hard to explain. Li Xia and the others were right. The Lu family was extraordinarily bold. They were blatantly coercing them. Prepare the carriage. I'll take her back myself. Xiao Xian got up. When Xiao Xian came in person, the Lu family had no choice but to open the door. Second Ms. Lu, overwhelmed with guilt, concealed herself and avoided encountering Xiao Xian. Unperturbed, Xiao Xian escorted Lu Xianyan back to First Madame Lu, explaining with a smile. I engaged in a brief conversation with Third Miss Lu, which delayed her return. As I happened to be leaving, I took the opportunity to accompany her back. Now that she's safely home, I must bid you farewell as I have other matters to attend to. The Lu family hadn't anticipated Xiao Xian's swift return with Lu Xianyan. Did Lord Xiao remain unaware of the situation? Madame Xiao's apparent disdain for Miss Lu was unmistakable. She made her decision swiftly and decisively. What could First Madame Lu say? As the matriarch of the family, even amidst the gossip, Xiao Xian, the prefect's wife, asserted that she had detained Lu Xianyan briefly before sending her home. How could First Madame Lu challenge her authority? The family matriarch couldn't afford such a loss of face. While second Ms. Lu remained absent, Lu Xianyan's biological mother, Concubine Yan, was present. Chapter 1969. Concubine Yan. Before First Madame Lu could respond, Concubine Yan interjected calmly, "Madame Xiao, what do you imply? Doesn't Lord Xiao favor our third daughter, and wish for her to become his concubine? Have you consulted Lord Xiao about this matter? Is it appropriate for Madame Xiao to dismiss our daughter?" Concubine Yan's words were not rooted in genuine knowledge. Rather, second old Master Lu had instructed her to speak thus. Nonetheless, she felt a sense of satisfaction in carrying out his directive. Consider the context. Ordinarily, she wouldn't even merit a meeting with the prefect's wife. Yet here she stood, facing her directly, subject to her reproach and questioning. How dignified and gratifying. Furthermore, Lu Xianyan was the only daughter. Without this opportunity, her prospects might involve a marriage to a lesser son of a concubine, or even a family far beneath the Lu's status. How could anyone compare to Lord Xiao? It was widely known that Ms. Qiao was the sole wife of Lord Xiao, without any concubines. Marrying into such a household would elevate Lu Xianyan's status significantly, especially with support from both the Lu and Mei families. With time, bearing a son and daughter would further enhance her standing. This opportunity was akin to a ticket to greatness. Passing it up would mean foregoing such a lucrative opportunity. Most significantly, Lord Xiao had unequivocally shown favoritism toward Lu Xianyan. His defense of her that night, along with his instructions to escort her home, spoke volumes. Thus, when Concubine Yan boldly confronted Xiao Xian, she exuded an air of confidence. Xiao Xian's demeanor turned icy as she addressed First Madame Lu. "Enthusiuro?" First Madame Lu observed the scene with a demeanor akin to watching a theatrical performance. She interjected with a smile. "This is Concubine Yan, the biological mother of our third daughter. She is inexperienced in such matters and her words may lack finesse. Madame Xiao, I hope you'll forgive her forthrightness." Xiao Xian scoffed. "Is there no one else left in the Lu family? Or does a concubine now hold authority? Do you believe I am so insignificant that even a concubine is permitted to prattle before me? If you recognize the ignorance and rudeness of concubines, why permit her to speak out of turn in my presence?" First Madame Lu was taken aback. Concubine Yan grew flustered. "Oh, Madame Xiao, you can't. How dare you?" Lixia's glare bore into Concubine Yan. "Have you no regard for my mistress' words? Does the Lu family hold my wife in such low esteem?" Startled, Concubine Yan faltered, turning to First Madame Lu for assistance. First Madame Lu intervened, restraining Concubine Yan, and offered a placating smile to Xiao Xian. "Madame Xiao, please accept our apologies. We hold you in the highest regard. Concubine Yan is not always rational, and tends to become overly anxious. Please pardon her." Xiao Xian regarded them with a faint smile, remarking, "If I were to take offense and not let her off lightly, it would reflect poorly on my character. Considering her insolence, I could have reprimanded her and castigated the Lu family for her impudence. Moreover, hasn't our lord already refuted these rumors? What basis does she have for her claims? When has our lord ever indicated a desire to take her as his concubine? Concubine Yan, did you hear such words directly from our lord? Or did someone from your family relay this information?" Concubine Yan recoiled, remaining silent. "Speak up," Xiao Xian demanded sharply. "I've posed a question to you. What are you waiting for?" Chapter 1970. Berating Concubine Yan's heart raced with panic, her face draining of color as she turned to First Madame Lu for guidance. What should she say now? How could she possibly know how to navigate this situation? First Madame Lu, equally flustered, offered a strained smile. "Madame Xiao, I believe there must have been a misunderstanding on Concubine Yan's part." "Yes, indeed. These rumors have been circulating outside. Why wouldn't they be? Lord Xiao's actions during the Lantern Festival clearly indicated his protection of our third miss." Concubine Yan interjected hastily, attempting to justify her previous statement. Xiao Xian's anger simmered beneath the surface as she glanced at First Madame Lu. What a fascinating family dynamic you have. Despite Lord's refutation of the rumors, why would someone within the family entertain such absurd notions? And to think it's the biological mother of third Miss Lu. Like mother, like daughter, indeed. What sort of character does third Miss Lu possess? How could you dare to propose such an alliance to our Lord? Are you attempting to demean his honor? First Madame Lu and concubine Yan's expressions shifted uneasily. Madame Xiao, you have misunderstood. That's what the rumors allege. Even if we don't voice it, others will. But it seems that it's too late to halt the spread of gossip now. Has our misreputation been tarnished in vain? That's your concern, Xiao Xian retorted icily. Lord has already dispelled these rumors. If anyone dares to utter falsehoods again, you have every right to take them to court, and Lord will mete out justice impartially. How can you claim her reputation is sullied? All of Anz's inhabitants fall under Lord's jurisdiction, and when he perceives injustice he intervenes. Even if it hadn't been your daughter that night, Lord would have acted the same. Are you implying that our Lord should be held accountable for every baseless rumor? That's preposterous. What regard does your Lu family have for our Lord? Do you think you have the authority to make decisions on his behalf? Should our Lord bear responsibility for the malicious machinations of those with dark, deceitful, and shameless intentions who fabricate rumors to besmirch his name? But on that day, our Lord has already refuted the rumors, rendering any further discussion irrelevant. Xiao Xian cut off concubine Yan's attempted defense, unwilling to entertain further fruitless debate. Some individuals were simply beyond reasoning with, and she deemed it more prudent to set a firm example. With a piercing gaze, Xiao Xian turned her attention to First Madame Lu. First Madame Lu, how do you propose to discipline a servant who disrespects their superior and slanders their master? Caught off guard, First Madame Lu sensed the weight of the question, recognizing it as a potential trap. Nevertheless, she had no choice but to respond. If such a servant were to exist, we would have to expel them from the household. We might administer a punishment such as a beating, or selling them away to a distant location. Indeed, we cannot tolerate such insubordination within our ranks. Failure to address it would only lead to chaos within the family. As for concubine Yan, not only did she disregard my authority, but she also propagated false rumors and besmirched our Lord's reputation. While she may hold a higher position than a common servant, she is still a concubine. Shouldn't she face appropriate consequences for her actions? First Madame Lu's eyelids twitched nervously, sensing the gravity of the situation. Concubine Yan's panicked plea fell on deaf ears as Xiao Xian continued to address First Madame Lu directly. Are you First Madame Lu, the esteemed mistress of the Lu family? Xiao Xian's tone carried a hint of sarcasm and disdain, causing First Madame Lu's heart to sink. The implications of her response weighed heavily on her. Realizing the potential consequences if word of this confrontation were to spread. Chapter 1971. Punishment. Madame Xiao was so persistent that concubine Yin was going to suffer. First Madame Lu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Madame Xiao is right, concubine Yin should be punished. She should be slapped 20 times and grounded for a month. Xiao Xian did not say anything. Seeing that, First Madame Lu gritted her teeth and said, 30 slaps and 3 months ground. Xiao Xian said with a smile. You are a concubine after all, so that is fine. Please go ahead. He was going to watch concubine Yin get slapped. First Madame Lu was helpless. Ignoring concubine Yan's protests, she had no choice but to order the maids to slap her. With Xiao Xian staring at her, the maid did not dare to conserve her energy. She was just following orders, and second old master would not blame her for what happened afterwards. But if she saved her energy, Madame Xiao might say something, and she would be the unlucky one. Concubine Yin was very capable and beautiful. Although she was over 30 years old, second old master Lu still liked her. She lived a luxurious life, and her skin, especially the skin on her face, was white and tender. The force of the slaps was like striking tender tofu. Yet despite the brutality, concubine Yan's once flawless complexion was now marred by red welts and tears. As her cries echoed through the room, Her disheveled appearance and anguished wails drew the attention of countless servants who had been clandestinely observing the scene unfold. First Madame Lu, her skin crawling with discomfort, exchanged anxious glances with Qiao Xian, realizing the potential ramifications of her actions. With a sinking feeling in her gut, she gritted her teeth, knowing that her decision might incur the wrath of her husband, Second Old Master Lu. Regret gnawed at her conscience. If she had foreseen this outcome, she would have prevented Lu Xianyan from leaving and kept her by her side. Despite concubine Yan's tearful pleas, the punishment continued unabated under the watchful eye of Madame Xiao. 30 resounding slaps left her cheeks red and swollen, her once immaculate appearance now disheveled and marred by tears and sweat. Qiao Xian regarded her with a mixture of pity and exasperation. "You're just a concubine. Can't you live peacefully? Why invite trouble with your words? Spreading rumors only brings punishment upon yourself." She then turned her attention to the broader consequences of concubine Yan's actions. "Consider your daughter. With a mother like you, her prospects as a concubine's daughter will only diminish. Who would want to marry into a family plagued by such scandal? Your irresponsibility condemns her to a life of misery." Concubine Yan stared up at Qiao Xian in shock, her realization dawning slowly. First Madame Lu, feeling the weight of Qiao Xian's words, ordered assistance for concubine Yan, cursing her own misfortune at being provoked in such a manner. Qiao Xian's final words held a mix of reproach and recognition. Punishment for mistakes, reward for contributions. That's how a family should operate. You, First Madam, are indeed decisive and admirable. Upon hearing the compliment, First Madame Lu felt a surge of frustration that threatened to overwhelm her. She clenched her teeth to suppress it. "Madame Xiao, your praise is too kind." Qiao Xian offered a serene smile. "No, you truly deserve the title of First Madame Lu." First Madame Lu seethed inwardly. She had been outmaneuvered. It was best to remain silent. First Madame Lu, refrain from harboring any more ill intentions or spreading baseless rumors. Remember, trouble often arises from careless speech. First Madame Lu's heart skipped a beat as she exchanged a glance with Qiao Xian. With a final smile, Qiao Xian departed with Li Xia and the others. Chapter 1972. Crying, First Madame Lu calmed her racing heart and sought out her old master. Meanwhile, upon returning home, Qiao Xian found Xiao Yunduan waiting for her. With a smile, Qiao Xian remarked, "You've heard about it too? No worries, I handled the situation at the Lu family." Xiao Yunduan's expression turned icy. The Mei family must be out of their minds to pull such a stunt. Qiao Xian led him to sit down, her tone casual. "As long as you don't hold it against me, I can manage. It's not much trouble." Xiao Yunduan's demeanor softened, and he grasped her hands, smiling gently. "It's not just trouble, it's utterly disgusting. I usually don't bother with these matters, but it's all because of my wife." His words implied that she had full authority to handle such situations as she saw fit in the future. Qiao Xian smiled in agreement, finally feeling some relief after the ordeal at the Lu family. Concubine Yin was returned to her quarters amid wails and shrieks, startling everyone in the household. Lu Xianyan gazed at her father tearfully. Hadn't Madame Xiao been described as affable? She had managed to reconcile with the Fan family despite their conflicts. Why then had she treated her aunt so harshly? As the wife of the prefect, she was actually calculative with a concubine. She did not care about her face at all. First Madame Lu felt guilty and hurried to explain. Second Old Master Lu felt humiliated, but he did not want to get angry with his sister-in-law, so he said a few words. As soon as First Madame Lu left, he asked concubine Yan's maid with a dark face, "What happened?" The maid trembled uncontrollably and told him everything, including what concubine Yan had said. Lu Xianyan blushed when she heard this, and her heart throbbed inexplicably. When the concubine found out that the Mei family intended to help her marry Lord Xiao as a concubine, she told her a lot about her future prospects in private. Her heart was in a mess, and her heart was in turmoil. Her ambition was aroused. She seemed to think that Lord Xiao had noticed her. Otherwise, he wouldn't have compensated her and asked someone to send her home. She had totally forgotten that Xiao Yunduan, as the lord of the prefect, was suspected to have damaged someone else's things in front of everyone. How could he not compensate her? As for getting Sun Bai to send her home, she was the one who asked for it, and it had nothing to do with Xiao Yunduan. Concubine Yan's mouth was sore and swollen, and she was so angry that she cried out in frustration. Old master, it was all Madame Xiao's idea today, and all the servants who came were from the back of the house. I didn't even see a single bailiff. Lord Xiao and Lord Xiao might not even know about this. Our third daughter is so nice, and Lord Xiao is not at a disadvantage. No man would refuse such a beautiful thing. I think Madame Xiao must have done it on her own. Sob old master, even if you don't care about me, you have to stand up for our third daughter. Why don't you ask the Mei family for help? Our third daughter can't be harmed like this. Lu Xianyuan also looked at her father eagerly, hoping for his support. Second old master Lu was also indignant. He stomped his feet and went to the Mei family again to seek assistance. First, Mrs. Mei cut to the chase when she met with Qiao Xian directly. The Mei family did not have a girl of the right age, and the third daughter of the Lu family was a mature and polite woman. The Mei family had no evil intention. They simply wished to present her as a gift to Lord Xiao. Chapter 1973. Deal with this arrangement. The Mei family pledged their unwavering support to Lord Xiao. Regardless of his actions, they would stand by him. Essentially, it was a transaction. In this exchange, the Mei family sought a powerful ally. With their backing, Lord Xiao would undoubtedly gain advantages. It was a mutually beneficial arrangement. Of course, Lu Xianyuan was the daughter of a concubine. Given that Madame Xiao had already borne Lord Xiao's eldest son, and Lord Xiao was not one to favor concubines over his wife, there was no need for concern. If Madame Xiao felt that Lu Xianyuan had erred, she could reprimand her. She even proposed to Lord Xiao that if he did not accept Lu Xianyuan, they could find another suitable candidate. First, Mrs. Mei's words seemed forthright and sincere, as though she was merely discussing matters of wealth and influence. But Qiao Xian found the whole conversation repugnant. Then, without hesitation, she turned down the offer. Though she valued her reputation greatly, being the wife of an official demanded it. She couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy when first Mrs. Mei proposed the alliance. Because only a jealous woman would reject such an advantageous offer. One that could benefit her husband without posing any harm. Only a woman consumed by jealousy. Qiao Xian seethed at the thought of how the Mei family was attempting to manipulate her into jealousy. She was not about to give first Mrs. Mei any satisfaction. If I say no, then it's no. My husband has no need for such connections. Spare your efforts and don't approach him. Even if he were to consider it, I would never agree. And if I don't agree, no woman will enter the Xiao family. Do you understand? Nevertheless, my husband genuinely desires to govern An's province in harmony with its inhabitants. Any family, so long as they conduct themselves properly, adhere to the law, and refrain from underhanded activities, need not fear him. He will support them wholeheartedly. You can rest assured. First, Mrs. Mei's attempts at persuasion fell flat. Old Master Mei took matters into his own hands and approached Xiao Yunduan directly, but the outcome was no different. Upon returning to the East Yard, Xiao Yunduan relayed to Qiao Xian. Deputy Prefect Jia hinted that there might be something off about the Mei family. Qiao Xian was taken aback. What do you mean? Xiao Yunduan sighed with a bitter smile. I'm not sure either, and Deputy Prefect Jia couldn't quite put his finger on it either. But there's definitely something peculiar going on. Otherwise, the Mei family wouldn't be acting this way. It's out of character for them. He sensed that something was awry. Jia Hemming's reminder had sparked a realization within him. But the exact nature of the situation remained elusive. Unable to decipher the mystery, Qiao Xian smiled and said, "We needn't dwell on it. Whatever their intentions are, they'll reveal themselves in due time." Xiao Yunduan nodded, gently grasping her shoulders. "I've already instructed Zheng Sang to discreetly investigate. Just to be safe, you should avoid going out these days. And if you must, ensure you're accompanied by additional guards." Qiao Xian chuckled. "I'll be cautious, don't worry." The trauma from her abduction by the fourth prince's men would linger for a lifetime. Qiao Xian empathized with him deeply. Chapter 1974. Returning to hometown following that incident, the Mei family ceased their persistent efforts. No longer were they bothered by unwanted visitors. As for the Liu family, stripped of the Mei family's backing, they no longer posed a threat. Several days later, during a gathering of young ladies from affluent families in Anne's province, third Miss Liu had a near-fatal accident when she fell into the water. Miraculously rescued, she suffered severe shock and hypothermia, requiring extended bed rest for recovery. The uncertainty surrounding her recuperation cast a shadow over her future. Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel relieved that she hadn't attended the gathering herself, as her absence would have raised suspicions. In late January, a letter arrived from Shouting Village. Tao Tao and Zhao Shu's wedding date had been set for the 8th of March. Zhao Shu remained occupied with business matters in Jiangnan. After finalizing arrangements for the year, he would journey to Yuzhong, accompanied by relatives and elders from within a 500-meter radius of Heshan County. Upon arrival, they would celebrate with a grand wedding for Zhao Shu and Tao Tao. With Zhao Shu's willingness to spare no expense, a sizable contingent of relatives was expected to attend, eager to partake in the festivities. Thanks to his generosity, accommodations and provisions for the journey would be arranged without hesitation. Who wouldn't seize the opportunity to join such a joyous occasion? Especially his cousins and uncles were eager to participate in the festivities. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan shared in their joy for the couple. With the wedding plans settled, anticipation filled the air. As Xiao Yunduan was restricted to official duties, Xiao Xian planned to return around the 12th of February, accompanied by Anan. Choosing a later departure date would ensure warmer weather and allow Anan to grow a little, providing Xiao Xian with greater peace of mind. Although Xiao Xian felt she could depart immediately if not for Anan's welfare, she understood the importance of waiting. Each day brought changes in the child's development, making him more resilient with time. Preparations commenced as they packed their belongings and gathered gifts for the occasion. The entourage accompanying them also finalized their list of attendees. Li Xia and the others naturally joined, while Sun Qian was entrusted with leading 26 subordinates to provide security. On February 11th, Xiao Xian and their party embarked on their journey. Departing from An's prefecture city at dawn, they maintained a low profile, attracting little attention. Unbeknownst to many, Xiao Xian was en route to her hometown. That was Xiao Yunduan's intention as well. He would feel more assured if their journey remained discreet. Furthermore, while Xiao Xian eagerly anticipated returning home, she also worried about Xiao Yunduan. In recent days she had nagged at him incessantly. At night, she was different, her passion fiery yet gentle to the core. She seemed to want to envelop him completely, and he was more than willing to comply. However, amidst his happiness, a pang of heartache tugged at him. He couldn't help but wonder how many promises her tender words concealed. Yet having her by his side was enough. He couldn't bear to see her sad. Keeping a low profile was imperative. It was best if no one knew they had left An's prefecture city. 5 days later, they arrived in Yuzhong province. As the wagon passed through the gates, Xiao Xian lifted the curtain, gazing outside. The sights grew increasingly familiar, filling her with happiness. Finally, they were home. Given the size of the Yuezheng family, Xiao Xian headed directly there upon arrival. Chapter 1975. Arriving at Yuzhong, Xiao Xian also penned a letter to First Madam while on the journey home. First Madam anticipated her arrival in a couple of days, eagerly awaiting her return. Therefore, as soon as they arrived at the gates of the Yuezheng family, the gatekeeper recognized Xiao Xian and hurried in to report the news. A few moments later, First Madam emerged, accompanied by her eldest daughter-in-law and the housekeeper's wife. Xiao Xian stepped out of the carriage and saw First Madam. Her heart warmed by the sight, and a bright smile lit up her face. "Hey, elder aunt. Ah Xian. You're truly back." "Haha, that's right. It's been a rushed journey. I've missed you all." Xiao Xian hastened forward and linked arms with First Madam. Everyone exchanged smiles and greetings. Lu Zheng expressed some words of concern for Xiao Xian, his gaze softening upon seeing the baby in the nanny's arms. "So this is Anan?" "Indeed. She carries the features of both you and Lord Xiao. She's quite handsome and utterly charming." Like any mother, Xiao Xian beamed with joy hearing her son praised, even more so than herself. With a smile she responded, Babies are so pure and delicate in their youth, with eyes so dark and bright. Indeed, she's quite lovable. She scooped Anan into her arms and greeted First Madam with a wave of her hand. Anan showed no fear of strangers, babbling as he looked at First Madam. His beautiful black eyes reflected both joy and confusion. First Madam adored him instantly. She pinched his little cheeks and playfully teased him with her delicate hands. When she tried to reach for him, Anan responded eagerly, reaching out with open arms, eliciting laughter from everyone. With a smile, First Madam took him into her arms and led the way into the courtyard with Qiao Xian and the others. Since Qiao Xian and the others returned unexpectedly, First Madam hadn't prepared a formal banquet. They were family, so there was no need for such formality. Instead, she instructed the kitchen to prepare a few extra dishes that Qiao Xian liked for dinner, and arrange for someone to prepare some minced meat porridge for Anan. After a while, Qiao Xian and First Madam found themselves engaged in conversation in the parlor. First Madam's eldest daughter-in-law attended to the household tasks and made arrangements for Qiao Xian's entourage. Li Xia and the others, weary from the journey, retired to rest. Since Qiao Xian was with First Madam, they were excused from serving her directly. Anan, on the other hand, may have been sleeping during the journey, but now, in this new environment, everything fascinated him. He was so enthralled that sleep eluded him entirely. The nanny and others found it difficult to rest as well, so they brought him to play on the small bed behind the jade cabinet. First Madam's welcoming gift for Anan was a gold longevity lock adorned with gemstones. It featured various auspicious motifs symbolizing wealth and longevity, and its design was exquisite. The bright yellow jade was set with rubies, sapphires, emeralds, and jades, creating a sparkling and colorful luxury that children adored. Anan held onto it tightly, playing with it happily. With Anan occupied in First Madam's room, Qiao Xian felt at ease. She couldn't help but share every detail of their reunion with First Madam. And even now, Xiao Yunduan continued to keep his promise, wholeheartedly treating Qiao Xian with care. First Madam was genuinely happy for her. Chapter 1976. Small gathering. First Madam agreed that Qiao Xian was lucky to have Lord Xiao by her side. He was indeed a good man. As for the uncertainties of the future, First Madam acknowledged that no one could predict with certainty. She hoped Qiao Xian would always be fine, but she couldn't ignore the potential flaws in men's character. There were too many variables to consider. Although Xiao Yunduan was currently only a prefect, who knew what the future held? What if he ascended to a higher position in the government? However, whenever Qiao Xian spoke about Xiao Yunduan, her demeanor softened, and First Madam couldn't bring herself to dampen her spirits. Instead, she chose to praise Qiao Xian's good fortune. With Anan, the firstborn son of the primary wife, and a substantial estate with vast wealth, Qiao Xian was indeed blessed. A woman had her son to support her, and her wealth to sustain her. As for her husband, if he proved reliable, she would stand by him. If not, she would be prepared to part ways. In case of any adversity in the future, Qiao Xian could draw strength from the wisdom shared during their conversation today. Qiao Xian didn't fully grasp First Madam's implications, but she listened attentively. Thoughts of Anan filled her with joy. Taking advantage of the discussion about Tao Tao's family, Qiao Xian seized the moment to seek advice from First Madam. Tao Tao was marrying into the affluent Zhao family from Jiangnan, a milieu Qiao Xian had never encountered before. She felt unequipped to handle the intricacies of such a prominent family, let alone navigate the dynamics with her mother-in-law, Ms. Fong, and her two sisters-in-law. This was precisely why she had returned home earlier than planned. There were numerous decisions awaiting her attention regarding household arrangements and preparations. Moreover, with many guests expected from the Zhao family, the Xiao family couldn't afford to be negligent. They had to ensure Tao Tao's standing was impeccable, preventing anyone in the Zhao family from looking down on her. Despite Xiao Yunduan holding the position of prefect in An's province, the Xiao family lacked the same social standing and wealth as the Zhao family. Xiao Yunduan's authority didn't carry the same weight in the south as it did in the remote An's province, making it difficult to assert influence over the Zhao family. Thus, it was imperative for the Zhao family to witness the Xiao family's strength firsthand to earn their respect. First Madam had been deeply involved in wedding preparations, so she was well versed in every detail of the ceremony. Xiao Xian eagerly shared all she knew with her. Their conversation flowed joyously, and even as dinner was served, they found themselves reluctant to end their discussion. Noticing that most of the 12 sumptuous dishes laid out before her were her favorites, Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel touched. With a grateful smile, she looked up at First Madam and playfully remarked, "Elder Aunt, you spoil me so much. You remembered all my favorites." First Madam chuckled heartily. "I have a good memory, you know. You're still young. How can you be considered old?" Their laughter filled the air as they savored their meal together. First Madam showed great concern for Xiao Xian's well-being, especially considering her exhausting journey. As night fell, Anan became restless, demanding his mother's attention. Recognizing Xiao Xian's fatigue, First Madam arranged for her to retire to bed. Before bidding her good night, First Madam reassured Xiao Xian, urging her not to fret about the affairs of the province and to feel at ease. She promised that even if Xiao Xian needed anything in the middle of the night or if Anan grew hungry, the servants would be at her beck and call. She had even instructed the kitchen to prepare pigeon porridge in a casserole on the small stove, a comforting thought for Xiao Xian. Grateful for First Madam's thoughtfulness, Xiao Xian nodded with a warm smile, feeling deeply touched by her kindness. Chapter 1977. Returning to Shouting Village the following day, Xiao Xian and her companions prepared to depart. First Madam entrusted Auntie Hua, her trusted confidant, to accompany Xiao Xian and offer assistance. Auntie Hua was a pillar of strength, possessing a wealth of experience and a calm, meticulous demeanor. With her by Xiao Xian's side, everything would proceed smoothly. As Tao Dao's wedding approached, guests from the Yuezheng family would soon arrive to extend their congratulations. First Madam informed Xiao Xian that she intended to join them a few days in advance. Expressing her gratitude, Xiao Xian smiled and thanked First Madam sincerely. Taking Xiao Xian's hands in hers, First Madam returned the smile and spoke warmly. "No need for such formality with me. It's because of your understanding that I feel comfortable offering my help. I'm just glad you don't see me as meddling." Indeed, few would welcome interference in such significant matters as marriage. It was a testament to the trust and camaraderie between them that First Madam felt comfortable lending Auntie Hua's assistance. Understanding First Madam's sentiment, Xiao Xian reassured her with a smile. "You're not an outsider to me, and I appreciate your support. My mother-in-law will undoubtedly be grateful to you, just as I am." First Madam nodded with a smile, then scooped Anan into her arms, gently pinching his cheeks and playing with him. She watched as mother and daughter climbed into the carriage, surrounded by the bustling crowd. After a day of travel, they finally arrived back in Shouting Village by evening. Ms. Fong had been eagerly anticipating their return every day, and her joy knew no bounds now that her dreams had come true. Tao Tao couldn't contain her excitement as she enveloped Xiao Xian in a tight embrace, laughing joyfully. Ms. Fong greeted Xiao Xian warmly, her eyes brimming with happiness as she inquired about Xiao Yunduan. Anan's presence only added to her delight, and she couldn't help but smile. Xiao Dalong, Ms. Su, Xiao Sanlang, Yang Xiaoni, and the others all shared in the jubilation. They surrounded Xiao Xian, exchanging greetings and well wishes. Even Chunyu and the seasoned servants couldn't contain their happiness. Word had spread throughout the village that Xiao Xian had returned with her children. The sight of several carriages and a retinue of dozens of servants made quite the impression. It was a testament to the prosperity of their family. Indeed, as Xiao Lulang had suggested, An's province seemed to be a land of opportunity. If it were not so, Lord Xiao wouldn't have attained such wealth, and Madame Xiao's return wouldn't have been so grandiose. Suddenly, the first section of the Xiao family's courtyard was bustling with activity as many people gathered there. The yard became alive with chatter and laughter, everyone smiling and greeting Xiao Xian warmly. Anan garnered particular attention, with everyone marveling at his adorable appearance and apparent intelligence. He was truly the pride of the Xiao family. After a while, Ms. Fong and her daughter-in-law, seeing that Xiao Xian and her grandson were tired from the journey, suggested that they retire to rest. They bid farewell, promising to return the next morning, and one by one, the guests departed. With the courtyard gate closed, Tranquility finally returned to the house. The servants who had accompanied them were duly settled, and preparations for dinner were underway. A table was set in the main room, awaiting their arrival. Ms. Su and Yang Xiaoni, along with the household staff, were busy in the kitchen. They prepared a feast fit for the occasion, including stewed chicken with mushrooms, braised duck, and steamed mandarin fish fresh from the backyard pond. Additionally, they prepared steamed sausages, stir-fried radishes and garlic shoots, scrambled eggs with scallions, sautéed wolfberry shoots, and stir-fried lettuce with garlic, filling the air with the aroma of garlic and fresh vegetables. Chapter 1978. Home life. Although they were all simple home-cooked dishes, their aroma filled the room, evoking a sense of warmth and closeness. Seeing the eager expression on Qiao Xian's face, Ms. Fong couldn't help but smile. You must be exhausted from the journey. Dig in, dear. These dishes are just like the ones you used to enjoy at home. Qiao Xian nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely. I've been craving home-cooked meals for so long. Ms. Fong chuckled. There's nothing like home-cooked food, isn't it? I'll have your sister-in-law cook for you every day. Yang Xiaoni, entering with the last dish, chimed in. Mother, fifth sister-in-law's cooking is truly exceptional. I've even asked her to cook for me. I'm just here to assist and enjoy the food. Just the thought of it makes my mouth water. Ms. Fong scolded Yang Xiaoni jokingly. Stop your chatter. Your fifth sister-in-law is the lady of the house. She shouldn't be cooking for you. We have plenty of servants here, and you can't even order them around. Stop with this nonsense. Yang Xiaoni smiled sheepishly. Oops, my mistake. Fifth sister-in-law, I apologize. Please don't be mad at me. I really didn't mean anything by it. Truly. Qiao Xian chuckled. No need to worry, third sister-in-law. We're family after all. Then she turned to Ms. Fong with a warm smile. Mom, there's no need to be so formal with me. Cooking at home is a pleasure. I'd love to prepare a meal for you. Don't overexert yourself, dear. We're family, no need for formalities. Let's sit down and eat before the food gets cold. With everyone's agreement, they gathered around the table for dinner. The atmosphere was relaxed and familial, filled with lively conversation and familial warmth. It was a true homecoming experience. After dinner, Anan sought comfort in Qiao Xian's arms again, prompting Ms. Fong to express concern. She arranged for hot water for Qiao Xian and her son to wash up, and encouraged them to rest for the night. The yard where Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan used to reside remained intact. It was secured when they were away, and it received monthly cleaning and maintenance. Anticipating Qiao Xian and her son's return, Ms. Fong instructed Yang Xiaoni and Tao Tao to tidy up daily, ensuring the windows were open for ventilation, and dust was wiped away. Pots of lively flowers adorned the yard, giving it a vibrant ambience despite their absence. Entering the yard with Anan, the nanny, Li Xia and Li Qiu, Qiao Xian found everything orderly, evoking a comforting warmth within her heart. Home was home because of this irreplaceable sense of belonging. The night passed sweetly and peacefully. The next morning, after Qiao Xian refreshed herself and exchanged greetings with Ms. Fong and the others, she led Anan, Li Xia, Li Qiu, and Tao Tao to the backyard to harvest fruits. The air was crisp, carrying a hint of morning chill, while the garden exuded life and freshness. The sight of lush greenery brought joy to their hearts. The fruit trees had noticeably flourished, their thick and tall trunks adorned with luxuriant branches and leaves. Chapter 1979. Warmth. At this time of year, peach blossoms and pear blossoms were on the verge of blooming. Some branches basked in the sunlight, showcasing their beautiful and delicate buds. Others had already sprouted, standing out amidst the evergreen fruit trees. The garden was adorned with various fruits. Peaches and oranges still hung from some trees, their soft white skin blushing pink as they ripened, emitting a sweet fragrance that filled the air. The plump, tangerine-like oranges were particularly eye-catching. Qiao Xian plucked one and handed it to Anan, who eagerly accepted it with both hands and began nibbling, her adorable frown eliciting laughter from everyone. Amidst the bounty were dragon fruits, papayas and pineapple honey, all ripe and ready for harvest. Qiao Xian filled her basket with the abundant produce. Tao Tao smiled, remarking on the garden's abundance. We have so many fruits that we can't possibly finish them all in a year. We also have dates, crisp persimmons, grapefruits, mangoes, lemons, and pineapple honey in the cellar. Additionally, there are chestnuts, walnuts, peaches, apricots, bayberries, and persimmon cakes, all homemade. I'll give some to fifth sister-in-law later. Xiao Xian nodded with a smile. Our garden truly is a treasure trove. She made a mental note to acquire some fruit saplings from Liuhe Manor upon her return. When she got back, she planned to add a variety of fruit trees to her garden. Although she wasn't sure how long her husband would remain in An's province, it seemed likely he wouldn't depart for the next 3 to 4 years. Besides, An's province was close to Yuzhong, so even if her husband wasn't there, it wouldn't pose a problem. There was no harm in expanding their property holdings. For breakfast that morning, they had steamed buns and porridge. The buns were small but packed with various fillings: dried plum vegetables, cured meat, radish pork, cabbage vermicelli with mutton, mushrooms, celery, pork chives, eggs, shrimp, and winter bamboo shoots. Fortunately, with many servants at home, they were able to prepare the meal early in the morning. Anan didn't have teeth yet, so Xiao Xian added some chopped spinach into the fish porridge. With a smile, Ms. Fong said to Xiao Xian, "I've prepared a bit of everything, and they're not large. Try them all." Xiao Xian's face lit up. "Mom, I'll taste them all. I might need to go for round 3. Ms. Fong chuckled at Xiao Xian's appetite. "I didn't plan much, just thought we have so many vegetables from our garden and plenty of meat at home, so why not make more fillings? I'll keep them warm and steam one for you whenever you're ready." Xiao Xian felt touched by her mother-in-law's thoughtfulness and nodded appreciatively. In truth, which family would prepare such a variety of fillings? 2 or 3 options were already considered generous. It wasn't like they were making them for sale at a shop. Ms. Fong had gone to the trouble of preparing so many dishes just for their enjoyment. After breakfast, Ms. Fong, along with Xiao Xian and Anan, bearing gifts, went to visit the patriarch, the land officer, and several elders. Their family was here, and it was necessary to build a good relationship with the villagers. Ms. Fong and the others were still living in the village, and the second section of the family and the third section of the family were in a mess, so they might get into trouble from time to time. At this juncture, the villagers' attitudes held significant weight. Their disposition hinged upon the patriarch, the land officer, and the elders. These figures held authority, and no one dared to voice dissent against their judgments. For Xiao Yunduan to navigate his career smoothly, he needed to uphold a sterling reputation. Any dissent from the second and third sections of the family had to be quashed within the village. Chapter 1980. Visit. It took them 2 days to complete their visits and conversations. Xiao Xian's demeanor was gentle, devoid of the airs typically associated with an official's wife. However, perhaps due to her years in such a position and her altered attire from home, she exuded a dignified and reserved aura, commanding respect and dissuading any rudeness. The second branch of the Xiao family could be treated more casually, merely requiring a gift to be sent without the need for a personal visit. Conversely, the third branch was a closer relation, demanding a formal visit. Accompanied by Ms. Fong, Xiao Xian paid her respects to both branches, taking care to leave Anan behind. Xiao Xian relieved her host's concerns upon seeing they hadn't brought the child along. The hosts, Ms. Ma and third uncle, breathed a sigh of relief at the absence of Anan. Not having to entertain the child was a relief, both in terms of appearances and the need to present a gift and greeting, which they could now conveniently omit under the pretense of forgetfulness. As the date of Zhao Shu and Tao Tao's marriage drew nearer, tensions between the third branch and the first section of the family escalated. However, Xiao Lilang's repeated warnings against causing further trouble with the first section kept them in check. Reluctantly, they extended an invitation to Ms. Fong and Xiao Xian to join them in their room. Enduring the humiliation for the sake of their son's future, the 2 women accepted the invitation. Upon seeing Xiao Xian, Ms. Ma couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. She remarked, "Niece-in-law, you're looking quite refined these days. Much improved from before. Seems like without your in-laws to hold you back, you're living quite comfortably, ha ha ha." Xiao Xian was left speechless. Ms. Fong, both irritated and amused, noted that some people never change their habit of speaking ill of others. In the past, Ms. Fong might have erupted into a confrontation, but now she chose to remain composed. Despite Ms. Ma's remarks, Xiao Xian remained unruffled. Her heart remained untouched by any ripple. After all, she no longer saw herself on the same level as Ms. Ma. Her family's prosperity and smooth sailing made her uninterested in engaging in any competition. She had no desire to change Ms. Ma's bad habits. There's no need to worry about that, Xiao Xian replied calmly. Every mother-in-law cares about their daughter-in-law. I've been through a lot, so it's only natural that I've changed. Besides, I've been managing things with Mr. Qiao and Wulong in An's province. I've guided them on what to say in their letters. And now that I've given birth to a son, of course, I'm not the same as before. I'm feeling much better. Xiao Xian nearly burst into laughter, nodding in exaggerated agreement. Absolutely, Mom. Ever since Anan was born, I've been so happy. Plus, my husband's career is thriving, and Tao Tao has found such a good family. My parents and siblings are all in good health. Happiness looks good on me. Ms. Fong burst into laughter. Absolutely. Xiao Xian smiled again. Honestly, I sometimes wish my mother would control me. She has a lot of wisdom to offer, and am grateful for her guidance. So, I don't feel uncomfortable at all. What third aunt-in-law said doesn't make any sense. Ms. Fong nodded approvingly. I know you're sensible, not someone who indulges in baseless gossip. Ms. Ma, who was spouting nonsense, fell silent. Chapter 1981. You can brag when that happened. Ms. Ma smiled coldly. She was not satisfied and couldn't help but boast. By the way, our Lulang is on track to become a high-ranking official. He's likely to pass the intermediate exam this year. Serving as an official in the capital is far superior to staying local. Ms. Ma wanted to tout her son's potential to become the primus, but Xiao Lulang had cautioned them multiple times against such presumptuousness, so Ms. Ma had to restrain herself. Ms. Fong smiled indulgently. You can boast once you've hit the mark. Ms. Ma grew annoyed. You all right? Ms. Fong rose from her seat and signaled to Xiao Xian that it was time to leave. I'm afraid Anan will wake up soon, so we should head home as well. And don't forget to come help us during the wedding. She couldn't bear to witness Ms. Ma's conceited behavior. Xiao Lulang was merely going to the capital for an exam. Those unfamiliar with the situation might think he had already passed the intermediate and was on the verge of becoming an official. Each year, countless scholars journeyed to the capital. Xiao Yunduan's upcoming venture there filled them all with trepidation. He lacked Ms. Ma's and her husband's confidence in such matters. Hearing their boastfulness, he feared they might face embarrassment. Ms. Ma snorted dismissively. We'll see about that. Then she turned to Xiao Xian and asked, Have you made up your mind, sister-in-law? The Zhao family is wealthy and has strict customs, unlike us, a humble countryside family. Any misstep during the wedding could bring ridicule and scorn upon Tao Tao. You needn't worry. I might not understand everything, but Miss Chiao does. The first madam of the Lezhing family has sent her trusted housekeeper to accompany Miss Chiao, so she can provide assistance. Ms. Ma's eyes widened in surprise, then she scoffed. Miss Chiao is young. What could she possibly know about such matters? The Yuezhing family isn't even here. How can we entrust Tao Tao's wedding to a mere servant? Xiao Xian couldn't contain her frustration any longer. Third aunt-in-law, you're mistaken. Auntie Hua, who serves elder aunt, is her right-hand woman and is incredibly knowledgeable. She's no ordinary servant. Her family owns hundreds of acres of land. With her guidance, Tao Tao's marriage will be secure. And if anyone dares to interfere behind her back, I won't stand for it. Ms. Fong grew irritated by Ms. Ma's remarks and retorted sharply. Auntie Hua is merely offering her assistance. What's wrong with that? Do you think I can't trust the housekeeper appointed by the first madam of the Yuezhing family, and instead rely on a landowner's wife? Tao Tao's affairs won't be meddled with by an outsider. Ms. Ma could only watch them leave and spat after a while, muttering, Ungrateful wretches. Ms. Fong also vented her frustrations to Xiao Xian. In a neighboring village, there was a local squire whose son had attempted the cultivated talent examination multiple times without success. The squire hoped to gain favor with the first section of the family, wishing for Xiao Yunduan to intercede with the Lord to help his son advance to the intermediate examination. When the squire's family approached them, Ms. Fong promptly declined the offer and distanced herself from them, despite their persistent attempts. Fortunately, Eldest uncle was discerning and made no commitments. But the squire's family persisted. With Tao Tao's impending marriage to Zhao Shu, they assumed the Xiao family was unaware of their connections and sought to enlist Ms. Ma's aid, offering her inducements to act as a middle person. Chapter 1982. She distrusted Ms. Ma. Contemplating the situation, Ms. Ma saw an opportunity to leverage Tao Tao's family affairs to garner a significant favor from the first section of the family. Driven by her keen interest in financial gain, she eagerly pursued this course of action. For Tao Tao's benefit and the benefit of the first section of the family, she persistently urged eldest uncle and Ms. Fong to discuss the matter repeatedly. Eldest uncle, swayed by her persuasion, was deceived by her apparent goodwill. With his impending marriage into the Zhao family looming over him, he harbored insecurities about facing them during the bride retrieval ceremony. He feared making a spectacle of himself and bringing disgrace upon his daughter. In comparison, the country squire seemed more knowledgeable and willing to assist. Wasn't it advantageous for him to lend a hand? However, Ms. Fong remained resolute in her refusal. She harbored deep skepticism about Ms. Ma's intentions. Despite feeling somewhat apprehensive about the situation, she found solace in the fact that Xiao Xian would soon return. While she may not fully comprehend the intricacies of the situation, Xiao Xian possessed the insight to navigate it effectively. As long as they avoided embarrassing themselves and managed the situation competently, they would weather the storm just fine. Ms. Fong hadn't anticipated Xiao Xian's early return, accompanied by the experienced Auntie Hua, which brought her immense relief knowing that Ms. Ma wouldn't meddle in the affairs. Impressed by Xiao Xian's thoughtful planning, Ms. Fong couldn't help but express her admiration. With Auntie Hua's guidance, both mother-in-law and daughter-in-law found themselves more at ease, simply following her lead. Auntie Hua initially worried about overstepping her boundaries, but soon realized she needn't fret. Grateful for her assistance, Ms. Fong and Xiao Xian wholeheartedly welcomed her involvement. Given the Xiao family's wealth, arrangements were swiftly and smoothly executed, leaving everyone content. Recognizing the lack of necessity, Xiao Xian abandoned the notion of visiting the second section of the family, knowing it wouldn't affect the etiquette. It was rather amusing when eldest uncle discreetly approached Xiao Xian, hinting at her to visit the second section of the family. Xiao Xian couldn't help but chuckle at the situation. Instead of directly responding to eldest uncle's suggestion, she feigned confusion and tactfully brushed off his insinuations, not giving him the opportunity for a private conversation. However, Xiao Xian had a close bond with Ms. Yan and Mei Qing, so she extended an invitation for them to dine at her home. Delighted by the invitation, both Ms. Yan and Mei Qing eagerly accepted. Their sons, who were slightly older than Ainan, accompanied them. Xiao Xian arranged for the boys to play together with Ainan, much to the excitement of all three children. The Yan family's bean products business flourished once again, with stable production and increased sales, thanks to the support from the Yuezheng family. They had become quite renowned in Heshan County. Ms. Yan was very grateful to Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian felt a sense of satisfaction knowing she had made the right decisions in the past. Despite the widespread adoption of cooking methods like rotten bamboo, oilskin, 1,000 pieces and dried incense, the Yan family's specialty in tofu remained unparalleled. Their bean products boasted the best taste and the most authentic fragrance, making them a leader in the industry. While expanding their operations was challenging, they still managed to firmly secure about a third of the market share, ensuring a prosperous life for the Yan family. The success of the Yan family also brought benefits to the second section of the Xiao family. Xiao Xian took the opportunity to inspect all their properties and utilized her skills to enhance their growth. From flower fields to tea houses, orchards to medicinal herb gardens, each sector thrived under her management. Their businesses expanded, and their families flourished thanks to her efforts. Chapter 1983. The Zhao family arrived in the villages and neighboring areas. Numerous individuals cultivated herb and flower fields. The initial segment of the Xiao family purchased these crops based on their quality, processing and selling the flowers after handling the herbs. Due to the extensive business of the Xiao family, they needed to employ workers year-round for tasks such as soil cultivation, weeding, harvesting, and other responsibilities. Whenever they ventured outdoors, Xiao Xian would bring Ainan along. With the warming weather and Ainan's agility, she could easily accompany them. The youngster reveled in the outings, displaying boundless joy and curiosity. Near the pond in the Zhang family village, they encountered a school of fish swimming gracefully. Their excitement almost led to an accidental plunge into the water, startling their caregiver and companions. Xiao Xian reminisced about the flavors of spring bamboo shoots, wild greens, mushrooms, and other delicacies. Joining Tao Tao, Yang Xiaoni, and Xiao Sanlang, she ventured into the mountains for hunting expeditions. Despite Qi's absence, Sun Bai and the others' archery prowess was evident. Coupled with Xiao Xian's remarkable abilities, they successfully hunted abundant prey. Fresh wild mutton, venison, pheasant, and wild rabbit, whether stir-fried, stewed, or barbecued, remained delightfully flavorful. Following that, their schedule became increasingly hectic. Tao Tao's marriage into the Zhao family demanded utmost attention. By the end of February, Zhao Shu rendezvoused with his relatives on their journey. More than 20 individuals encompassing cousins, uncles, aunts, nephews, and servants eventually reached Heshan County. Accommodating such a large group in Zhao Shu's courtyard proved impractical. Consequently, only a select few elders were invited to stay, while accommodations were arranged at the county inn for the rest. What irked Zhao Shu the most was the unexpected arrival of his half-brothers, Zhao Di and Zhao Yi. Upon sighting them, Zhao Shu's expression darkened noticeably. Zhao Yi remained composed, concealing his emotions in Zhao Shu's presence. However, when Zhao Di observed Zhao Shu's evident fury, he couldn't resist mocking him sarcastically. Zhao Shu, refusing to tolerate the disrespect, promptly considered dismissing him. It was ludicrous how Zhao Di, in his rage, attempted to assume the role of an elder brother, brazenly admonishing Zhao Shu. Before Zhao Di could conclude his reprimand, Zhao Shu impatiently interjected, ridiculing him. "Cousin, how audacious of you! Do you even possess the right to speak of my father? My father? Ha, it's common knowledge that he passed away long ago. Am I to blame for being unfilial and failing him?" Zhao Di's embarrassment was palpable, his complexion fluctuating between green and white. Seeing Zhao Shu's envy, Zhao Di felt compelled to lecture him, momentarily forgetting that Zhao Shu was adopted and no longer under their father's authority. After all, wasn't he just an ordinary cousin to Zhao Shu? Zhao Shu sneered. "Cousin, if you're here to stir up trouble, then kindly leave. I'm getting married, not inviting chaos into my life for your amusement." Attempting to defuse the tension, Zhao Di intervened. "Zhao Shu, is this how you treat your family just because you have some wealth? If you disdain us, just say it outright. We won't stay where we're not wanted." In response, Zhao Shu spat at him in disdain. "I'm talking to you, not to them. Why drag others into this? Perhaps I was mistaken in calling you shameless. How can you be shameless when you're simply devoid of decency? I treat my family with far more respect than you ever have. Have you ever looked out for our family's interests? I'll be frank with you. I simply don't care for you. If you dare to cause trouble again, don't expect me to hold back. This has been a trying time for everyone involved. I, Zhao Shu, will undoubtedly repay those who have supported me generously, but you've done nothing of the sort. Who gave you the right to disrupt things?" Chapter 1984. Disgusting former brother Zhao Di seethed with anger. Upon hearing Zhao Di's grievances, the other family members rallied to his side, empathizing with his plight. Hastily they intervened, whisking him away before he could utter another word. Naturally, Zhao Di couldn't simply depart without a plan. Aware of Zhao Shu's volatile temper, he understood that further agitation would only result in expulsion. Thus, he begrudgingly swallowed his indignation, opting not to provoke Zhao Shu any further during their journey. This concession left Zhao Shu feeling somewhat remorseful. Secretly, he harbored a desire for Zhao Di to misstep, providing him with a justification to take action. Upon their arrival at Heshan County, Zhao Di and Zhao Yi were promptly lodged at the inn. Despite being adopted, they felt entitled to better treatment. Their relegation to the inn left them discontented. Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing had diligently made preparations. Upon the Zhao family's arrival in Heshan County, they merely needed to rest briefly before the groom's arrival. Promptly upon his arrival, Zhao Shu dispatched a missive to the primary branch of the family. The following day, Zhao Shu's 2 uncles and 2 aunts made their way to Shouting Village to confer with Ms. Fang, eldest uncle, and other members of the Xiao family regarding the wedding arrangements. This face-to-face discussion was deemed necessary. Thanks to Zhao Shu's prior correspondence, the first branch of the family was well prepared for the impending visit from the Zhao family. Upon the arrival of Zhao Shu's relatives, the courtyard of the first branch was meticulously cleaned, and everyone donned their finest attire, elevating their usual appearance without appearing ostentatious or out of place. Though not as affluent as Zhao Shu, the first branch of the Xiao family still enjoyed a level of prosperity far surpassing that of any other household in the village. However, when Uncle Zhao Shu and company departed for the village, Zhao Di somehow caught wind of their plans and insisted on tagging along. Despite Uncle Zhao Shu's attempts to dissuade him, Zhao Di stubbornly persisted, eventually relenting only when it became apparent that he wouldn't be allowed to accompany them. Consequently, when one of Uncle Qing's subordinates introduced Zhao Di as his young master's cousin, Qiao Xian couldn't suppress a silent sneer at the sight of him. Zhao Di was unfamiliar with Qiao Xian, just as she was with him. While Qiao Xian had deceived the Zhao family, she had no prior acquaintance with Zhao Di beyond knowing his name. However, Qiao Xian could discern Zhao Di's demeanor from the moment he set foot in the courtyard. His scrutinizing and disdainful expression spoke volumes. Ms. Fang and eldest uncle remained oblivious to Zhao Di's intentions, extending warm greetings to the Zhao family, along with Ms. Su and Xiao Dalong. They failed to detect any hint of animosity from Zhao Di. Unlike the others, Yang Xiaoni didn't appear naive. Despite the cordial reception extended by Ms. Fang and eldest uncle, she sensed something amiss with Zhao Di's attitude. Tugging at Qiao Xian's sleeve, she whispered, "Fifth sister-in-law, that's young Master Zhao's cousin. Why does he seem to harbor ill feelings and look down upon us?" Qiao Xian was taken aback, but offered a reassuring smile to Yang Xiaoni. "I believe you, Yang Xiaoni, am not doubting your observations." Sensing Yang Xiaoni's earnestness, Qiao Xian continued, "I understand your love for Tao Tao, and I know you wouldn't speak ill of the Zhao family without cause. I witnessed it too, the eye-rolling and disdainful expression. You're right to be concerned. Who would roll their eyes at a wedding, after all?" Chapter 1985. What does he mean? Qiao Xian chuckled softly and whispered, "Third sister-in-law, rest assured I believe you. Truth be told, I noticed it too." "Thank you." Yang Xiaoni sighed in relief. "But what do you think he's up to?" Qiao Xian's expression turned sardonic. "He's certainly scheming something. Every family has someone like him, though I can't fathom how he made it onto the Zhao family's guest list. But don't worry, he won't cause any trouble." Yang Xiaoni, reassured by Qiao Xian's confidence, smiled gratefully. "That's a relief." The 2 women then entered the room and took their seats beside Ms. Fang. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Li Xia and Li Qiu, who brought in tea. As Uncle and Aunt Zhao surveyed the courtyard and the dwelling of the first branch of the Xiao family, and noted the attire of its members, they couldn't help but feel a sense of superiority. While they couldn't match Zhao Shu's wealth, boasting only 100 mu of land and a couple of servants, having hailed from affluent Jiangnan, they possess broader perspectives than the denizens of this remote countryside. Although the living conditions of the first branch of the Xiao family surpassed those of typical rural households, Uncle and Aunt Zhao didn't regard them highly. He sighed inwardly, perplexed by Zhao Shu's decision. Why did he insist on marrying a woman from such a distant and humble background? Even if he claimed to admire her family and their ties to a prefect lord, was it really necessary? If Zhao Shu truly desired it, obtaining the consent of the magistrate might pose a challenge, but marrying into the legitimate daughter of the county magistrate's family wouldn't be impossible. Fortunately, he was adopted. Otherwise, his wife would likely be subjected to mistreatment in that grand mansion. While they could attempt to persuade Zhao Shu, they couldn't compel him to change his mind. Given the circumstances, they could only offer their support. After all, they weren't the ones getting married. Besides, this visit wouldn't be without its benefits. Zhao Shu was undeniably generous. Initially dismissing the significance of the tea service, they assumed it would be of low quality, given the rural setting. Surely, it would consist of nothing more than ordinary tea leaves, resulting in a bitter and astringent brew. Initially, He hadn't planned to indulge, merely taking a polite sip of the tea as a gesture of respect towards the Xiao family. However, upon the arrival of the tea, he was taken aback by the exquisite white porcelain tea set adorned with delicate floral motifs, a sight reminiscent of broken branches and blooming flowers. The porcelain was pristine and smooth as snow. Within the teacup, a faint purple hue danced, the liquid crystal clear, exuding a rich tea fragrance tinged with the delightful essence of roses. Upon closer inspection, a subtle medicinal aroma wafted from the brew, inducing a sense of relaxation and joy. The harmonious unity of the tea set's design only added to its aesthetic appeal. Moreover, the tantalizing aroma of the tea proved irresistible, prompting him to take another sip to fully savor its flavor. The tea was invigorating, leaving a refreshing sensation and a feeling of renewed energy. With each sip, the fragrance grew more pure and delightful, eliciting silent praise. Never had he anticipated encountering such exceptional tea in the countryside. Zhao Shu and his uncles had never experienced this tea before, while Zhao Di, having been affluent previously, had sampled it on occasion. Merely from the aroma and hue of the tea, Zhao Di could surmise its identity. Yet he found it difficult to believe. It wasn't until he tasted it that his suspicions were confirmed. I never imagined I'd encounter supreme-grade purple fragrance here today. This tea fetches a hefty sum of 30 taels of silver in Jiangnan. It seems Zhao Shu truly holds the Yu family in high esteem. Ha ha ha. The revelation left Zhao Shu and his uncles stunned. Supreme-grade purple fragrance? Could it truly be the renowned purple fragrance they were familiar with? Chapter 1986. Dumbfounded upon hearing Zhao Di's confirmation, it became undeniable. Not only was it purple fragrance, but it was also of the highest quality, supreme-grade purple fragrance. Valued at 30 taels of silver per tael, equivalent to an astonishing 300 taels of silver per catty. It was worth noting that the tea they typically consumed at home cost only a little over 10 taels of silver per catty. Even then, they weren't particularly keen on splurging. More often than not, they settled for tea leaves priced at 5 to 6 taels of silver per catty, indulging in finer varieties on rare occasions. Zhao Shu's willingness to offer such luxury was remarkable. TSK, he had never shown such filial piety before. The Xiao family must be exceptionally fortunate. For a moment, a sense of unease settled upon them. Ms. Fong interjected, surprised by the revelation. We cultivate these tea leaves ourselves, it's not because of Shu. Xiao Xian with a knowing smile replied, Mom, they're guests. They're not aware of our affairs. Turning towards the Zhao family, she continued, we operate a sizable tea house spanning nearly 2,000 mu, cultivating both golden sprout and purple fragrance varieties. We reserve the finest tea leaves for our own family each year. And as our esteemed guests, it's only fitting that we serve you the best. Zhao Shu and his uncles were left speechless. Zhao Di's smile appeared strained, his skepticism evident. He forced a smile and remarked, Your family's tea house exclusively cultivates these two tea varieties? They're quite rare. Tea seedlings aren't readily available. Could it be that you've been misled? Xiao Xian chuckled softly. Every year, reputable businessmen from Yuzhong province come to purchase our tea leaves. Golden sprout typically fetches around 40 taels of silver per catty, while purple fragrance goes for about 100 taels of silver per catty. Embarrassment washed over Zhao Di, rendering him speechless. He managed to force another smile and conceded, Well, in that case, you truly are fortunate. Zhao Shu must have provided these tea seedlings for your family, right? He's been quite generous to the Yu family, haha. Xiao Xian, wearing a puzzled expression, responded, Why would you assume that? Our tea house was established before we met Zhao Shu. Zhao Di felt deflated. Unable to contain his curiosity, he inquired, Where did you obtain the tea seedlings then? With a gentle smile, Xiao Xian replied, It's a rather lengthy tale. My husband procured a batch of tea seeds from a merchant, and we nurtured them ourselves. We didn't have high expectations, but all the tea seeds sprouted beautifully. My husband and sister-in-law are incredibly fortunate. They make an excellent match for young Master Zhao. Everyone laughed. Ms. Fang's delight was palpable, her smile radiant as she exchanged a meaningful glance with Xiao Xian. Unable to refute Ms. Fang's words, the uncles of the Zhao family joined in with compliments for Tao Tao, their smiles masking any lingering discomfort. Feeling slighted, Zhao Di couldn't comprehend how this discussion related to Zhao Shu's fiancé. Why was she receiving praise? Well, your family certainly seems fortunate. With your wealth, why haven't you purchased a home in the city and relocated? Living in a village can be quite inconvenient. Ms. Fang's expression soured at the suggestion. There are benefits to rural life as well. The villagers here are incredibly welcoming. This village is the foundation of our Xiao family. How could we simply uproot ourselves? Even if we're not lacking in funds, we mustn't forget our roots. Qiao Xian chimed in. My mother speaks the truth. However, we do own properties in the county and the province. We can comfortably reside here whenever necessary. Zhao Di found himself at a loss for words. Chapter 1987. Things are no longer the same. The uncle of the Zhao family shot Zhao Di a warning glance, then swiftly changed the subject, steering the conversation towards the upcoming wedding day. Despite refraining from vocalizing it, Zhao Di couldn't help but feel a pang of envy. The Xiao family seemed to possess a veritable treasure trove, abounding with tea mountains, gold mines, and a son who had risen to prominence as a primus. Moreover, the members of this family didn't appear to be ignorant or simple-minded. It became clear why Zhao Shu was adamant about marrying into this family. They had gathered to celebrate a joyous occasion, not to indulge in mockery directed at Zhao Di. If he persisted in making unwarranted remarks, he risked offending the Xiao family and incurring Zhao Shu's wrath. Even if Qiao Xian chose to overlook his behavior, Zhao Di couldn't expect leniency or favor in the future. While others might underestimate the Xiao family, Qiao Xian, being an official's wife, possessed keen discernment. Despite Zhao Di's thinly veiled sarcasm, he couldn't outsmart her. Action needed to be taken. Though seething with anger and resentment, Zhao Di dared not defy the elders of his clan. He could only clench his jaw in frustration and keep his thoughts to himself. The circumstances had changed drastically. Their family had fallen from grace, relegated to a small town far from Yangzhou. They now had to eke out a living tending to meager farmland and a handful of struggling shops. Who cared about these pretentious elites and highbrow individuals in the clan anymore? Now, they were all scrambling to ingratiate themselves with that despicable Zhao Shu. Even the impoverished peasants of the Xiao family were shamelessly trying to win their favor. Once again, Zhao Di harbored resentment towards his father. Why did he ever agree to let Zhao Shu be adopted? Why did he consent? If not for that decision, Zhao Shu wouldn't hold such sway today. With Zhao Di refraining from stirring up trouble, the two families conversed amiably. Auntie Hua offered guidance, while Qiao Xian facilitated the discussion. Everything proceeded smoothly, and the Zhao family was thoroughly impressed by the Xiao family's thorough preparation. With the plans settled, there was little cause for concern. All they had to do now was await the wedding day. After the discussion, Ms. Fang and eldest uncle extended an invitation for lunch, which the Zhao family graciously accepted. Ms. Fang promptly arranged a room for their guests to rest in, and instructed Ms. Su to escort them there to relax. She assured them she would summon them when lunch was ready. Following the lengthy deliberation, the Zhao family grew weary. They expressed their satisfaction with Ms. Fang's considerate arrangements and conveyed their gratitude with warm smiles. In the designated rest area, hot tea accompanied by an array of fruits and snacks awaited them. While the tea remained supreme-grade purple fragrance, the snacks appeared to be standard fare, likely procured from the county city. However, the freshly peeled and sliced peaches, juicy oranges, diced dragon fruits, pears, cantaloupes, washed blueberries and honey-drenched pineapple were exceptionally enticing. Some of the fruits were unfamiliar to them, leaving them intrigued. Learning that these fruits hailed from the Xiao family's orchard only heightened their admiration and stirred their emotions further. Upon sampling the fruits, they were met with a burst of fragrance, freshness, and sweetness. Impressed, they showered the offerings with praise, acknowledging their exceptional quality and refraining from underestimating them in any way. What the Xiao family possessed, they lacked, leaving no room for disdain. Lunch was served with separate seating arrangements for men and women, each group seated in the dining hall and the flower hall respectively. Despite the segregation, The meal consisted of identical fare, 12 dishes and a soup. Chapter 1988. He has no good intentions. Aware of their guests' origins from Jiangnan, Xiao Xian instructed the preparation of light dishes for lunch. The spread included steamed mandarin fish, tea-flavored shrimp, white-cut chicken, white meat with garlic paste, and sea cucumber with scallions, among others. As they were about to commence the meal, Zhao Di was conspicuously absent. He had purportedly gone for a stroll in the village, prompting Xiao Dalong and Xiao Sanlang to retrieve him for dinner. Upon locating Zhao Di, Xiao Sanlang found him engaged in conversation with fifth Grandma Ding, who appeared animated and pointedly addressing him. Aware of the strained relationship between their families, Xiao Sanlang refrained from intervening, simply escorting Zhao Di back home. Throughout the journey, Zhao Di exhibited an air of smugness, as if he held something over Xiao Sanlang. He stole several furtive glances at him along the way. Upon reconvening for dinner, the Zhao family was taken aback by the sight of the sumptuous spread before them. However, reflecting on the Xiao family's extensive tea house, they surmised the source of the lavish meal. With a tea house boasting a vast supply of supreme-grade purple fragrance and golden sprout, it was only natural for the Xiao family to present a table laden with exquisite dishes. The unexpectedly delectable flavors further heightened the Zhao family's satisfaction. Following the meal, the Zhao family departed contentedly, both parties parting ways on amicable terms, eagerly anticipating the upcoming wedding. Before bidding farewell, the Xiao family graciously bestowed gifts upon the two aunts of the Zhao family, who received them with heartfelt gratitude. As for Zhao Di, he was not seen off as an elder, for he did not hold such a status. Miss Fong harbored no fondness for this particular young master of the Zhao family, finding him incessantly vexing and prone to causing trouble. Yet, she hesitated over the decision to exclude him. However, Xiao Xian reassured her with a smile, urging her not to fret. The gift, traditionally given out of filial respect, held little significance if omitted by ordinary individuals. Xiao Xian was keenly aware of the underlying motives. She was certain that Zhao Di hadn't been part of the planned visit. Rather, he had surreptitiously trailed them here. His intentions were far from noble. Given the circumstances, why should they tolerate his presence, let alone extend the courtesy of a gift? They wouldn't offer him so much as a single blade of grass. Trusting Xiao Xian's judgment implicitly, Miss Fong felt a wave of relief wash over her. Once inside the carriage, the two aunts of the Zhao family eagerly unpacked the gifts. Inside the larger box were 2 jars of tea leaves, one containing supreme-grade purple fragrance and the other golden sprout, each weighing approximately 500 grams. The smaller box contained 2 lipsticks. The two aunties were elated at the gifts. While lipsticks were available in Jiangnan, they were in high demand and carried a hefty price tag of 50 taels of silver each. Such luxury items were beyond their means, even with their modest income from the farm. Although they were no longer in their prime and couldn't make use of the lipsticks themselves, they knew their daughters would be thrilled to receive such coveted items. The uncles of the Zhao family shared in the joy, marveling at the quality of the tea. They couldn't help but admire the Xiao family's generosity. Observing their effusive praise for the Xiao family, Zhao Di seethed with jealousy and irritation. After all, the Xiao family hadn't presented him with a gift. Not that he cared about such trivialities, but he couldn't shake off the feeling of discontent over being excluded from the gesture. Zhao Di couldn't contain his frustration, muttering, "They're just country bumpkins. How dare they be so stingy? A mere tea house with a few thousand mu of land? They're deliberately treating us differently. Even though I'm not destitute, they clearly don't take the Zhao family seriously." Chapter 1989. These bastards. The uncles and aunts of the Zhao family were jubilantly praising the Xiao family, envisioning future gatherings where they could entertain guests with the exquisite tea leaves. Thus Zhao Di's disparaging remark, "I'm so poor I can only rely on these tea leaves," struck a discordant note. Uncle Zhao reprimanded him sternly. "Enough. If you persist in finding fault where there is none, I won't tolerate it if you embarrass yourself and bring ridicule upon the Zhao family." The aunt chimed in with a smile. "They made it clear that this gesture is to honor the elders, and you're not one. You needn't see us off. Moreover, you had no business coming here today." With these words, they cast reproachful glances at Zhao Di. This troublemaker knew exactly what he was doing. Thankfully, he hadn't caused any major disturbances today. Otherwise, how would they answer to Zhao Shu? Firmly, she scolded Zhao Di and warned him sternly against repeating such behavior. If he failed to mend his ways, she'd be forced to discipline him herself. Zhao Di seethed with anger, hatred and frustration. He sneered and retorted. Do you think I wanted to come? It's all because of my father's orders. Someone with a clear conscience is eager to snatch assets in front of an unfilial son. Yet my father still pines for him, and insists we inspect this family's background. We couldn't refuse, could we? It's not like an unfilial son can disobey. Enough! Uncle Zhao's voice cut through the air, his expression icy. Sorting out family affairs is no easy task. I have no interest in discussing your family's matters, but Zhao Shu is here for the bride, so cut it out. Don't spout nonsense about unfilial sons. Zhao Shu has long been adopted. Your father is not his father. If you keep up this foolishness, I'll have someone escort you back immediately. Do you understand? Veins pulsated on Zhao Di's forehead as he clenched his fists, consumed by hatred and jealousy. These hypocrites. Once the wealthiest man in Yangzhou City, these people had once sought his favor. Now that his family had fallen from grace, they'd shifted their stance. It was nothing but taking advantage of Zhao Shu to target him, albeit in a polite guise. Zhao Di dared not argue with the elders of the family, yet his dissatisfaction simmered beneath a forced smile. Uncle, rest assured, I'm not that unreliable. But I've heard some things from the village. The Xiao family isn't an easy bunch to get along with. Word has it that Zhao Shu had his eye on a girl from the third branch of the Xiao family, but she was snatched away by the first section of the family. The elders of the Zhao family were taken aback. Such rumors existed? They had been completely unaware. Seizing the opportunity, Zhao Di felt a surge of self-satisfaction. He had been ready to embellish the tale and tarnish Tao Tao's reputation, thereby souring the Zhao family clan's impression of her. However, before he could elaborate, he was interrupted by the Zhao family aunt. With Zhao Shu's character, he can't be easily manipulated by others. Don't spread baseless rumors on account of mere hearsay. If Zhao Shu catches wind of this, it won't end well. We all know how much Zhao Shu values this girl from the Xiao family. How could he have favored someone else first and then turned his attention to her? Either you've been fed some nonsense, or there's been a misunderstanding. Exactly. I saw the girl from the Xiao family today. She's quite pleasant. It's no wonder Zhao Shu took a liking to her. Agreed. Chapter 1990. How could Zhao Shu bear with it? A few elders reprimanded Zhao Di, cautioning him to mind his words, lest he incur Zhao Shu's wrath, a fate he wouldn't relish. However, the Zhao family elders paid little heed to Zhao Di's remarks. What audacity! Given Zhao Shu's background, envy was to be expected. Rumors were bound to circulate. They were only aware that Zhao Shu attached great importance to this marriage, and had earnestly invited them to participate. Their role was to assist in ensuring the wedding proceeded smoothly. As for Zhao Di's family, when they were affluent, they hadn't extended any support to their relatives. Now that their fortunes had waned, why bother? Furthermore, given Zhao Di's apparent attempt to sow discord, they were not inclined to entertain it. Zhao Di was deserving of being sidelined, left out in the cold. To their surprise, the coachman had overheard Zhao Di's words and promptly relayed them to Zhao Shu upon their return. Would Zhao Shu tolerate such behavior? He never imagined that Zhao Di would dare to venture to Shouting Village alone. Thankfully, his plan didn't succeed. Otherwise, what impression would the Xiao family have of him? Engaging in a public dispute over this matter wouldn't bode well. If Zhao Di insisted on pretending to be concerned and made him out to be the villain, there was little he could do. Zhao Shu opted not to engage in open confrontation. Instead, he instructed his trusted aides to hire a few individuals to confront Zhao Di and Zhao Yi in a secluded alley. After a thrashing, they bound the brothers tightly and hauled them off to a dim, solitary room. In their bruised and terrified state, Zhao Di and Zhao Yi's eyes betrayed their fear upon seeing Zhao Shu. Refusing to appear weak in front of Zhao Shu, Zhao Di forced a semblance of dignity and spat out bitterly. Zhao Shu, you're truly ruthless. You orchestrated this against us. Once father learns of this, he won't spare you. Zhao Shu scoffed derisively. Your father can do as he pleases. If you find your life too comfortable now, feel free to provoke me anytime. Face one, I'll handle one. Bring two, we'll deal with both. Zhao Yi interjected. We traveled all this way to attend your wedding celebration. Is this how you repay us? Zhao Shu pointed accusatorily at Zhao Di. Then you should ask your dear elder brother what he's done. While I initially overlooked you and couldn't be bothered, your continued provocations leave me no choice. You needn't attend my wedding. Just stay put. Zhao Shu paid no heed to Zhao Ye's protests and swiftly departed, leaving instructions for someone to keep watch over the two brothers. What use were such nuisances, if not to be dealt with? Zhao Yi suppressed his frustration and turned to Zhao Di for an explanation. With a face contorted in anger, Zhao Di didn't mince words. Through gritted teeth, he recounted his actions. Zhao Ye's expression darkened. Brother, your actions were rash. Sneering, Zhao Di retorted. I couldn't stand his smug demeanor. I wanted to make things difficult for him. Seeing Zhao Di's unyielding stance, Zhao Yi closed his eyes, choosing to remain silent. Originally, Zhao Yi had planned to deliver a substantial blow on the day of Zhao Shu's wedding, hoping to sabotage the marriage and potentially turn the Xiao family against Zhao Shu. Aware of the Xiao family's prominence and the influence of Lord Xiao in An's province, he saw an opportunity for his family to reclaim the assets Zhao Shu had seized. Yet, all his plans were shattered by his brother's impulsive actions. Desperate to leave, Zhao Yi attempted to reason with the guards, all of whom were Zhao Shu's trusted aides. But they remained stoically silent, offering no response beyond their basic duties of delivering meals and ensuring the brothers' basic needs were met. Chapter 1991. Wedding. As for Zhao Ye's attempts at pleading and his benevolent request for assistance in delivering a message to Zhao Shu, they were simply ignored. As for Zhao Shu, he did not visit after that day. He was preoccupied with preparing for his role as the groom. How could he find the time to entertain such requests? The Zhao clan members quickly realized that Zhao Di and Zhao Yi had vanished. When questioned, Zhao Shu casually mentioned that they had prior engagements and had departed. No one pressed the matter further, knowing the temperament of the Zhao family. In no time, it was the day of the bridal escort. On this busy day, both sides were bustling early in the morning. At the Xiao family's estate, Tao Tao, as the bride-to-be, rose at dawn to bathe, change into her ceremonial attire, and adorn herself. While an ordinary countryside girl might not observe such elaborate rituals, Tao Tao, now marrying into the affluent Zhao Shu's family as the sister of the prefect lord, meticulously followed tradition. Fortunately, Auntie Hua was well versed in the procedure, and everyone followed her arrangements diligently. In Heshan County City, Zhao Shu was brimming with joy. He asked repeatedly if it was time, eliciting teasing remarks from everyone around him. Finally, the moment arrived. With a radiant smile, he swiftly mounted his horse, prompting even more playful banter. Amidst the spirited beats of drums, the bridal escort procession embarked towards Shouting Village. As the bridal entourage approached, eager onlookers who had rushed out to catch a glimpse hastily dashed back to the village to spread the news. The first section of the Xiao family also received word. As the procession entered the village, the already jubilant music of the bridal entourage soared to even greater heights. Encircled by villagers and delighted children darting around, the atmosphere brimmed with liveliness and merriment. Since the uncles and aunts of the Zhao family had previously visited Shouting Village and received such generous gifts, they spoke highly of the Xiao family in front of their fellow clansmen. Furthermore, with Zhao Di and Zhao Yi detained by Zhao Shu's orders, there were no disruptions to spoil the smooth proceedings. Today, everything unfolded seamlessly, unlike the previous occasion when Zhao Di had caused trouble with his sarcasm. Symbolically blocking the door, Zhao Shu successfully entered the first section of the family's house. Amidst the laughter and well-wishes, he finally approached his bride. As Tao Tao was veiled in red and carried onto the bridal sedan chair by Xiao Dalong, Zhao Shu's eyes remained fixed on her, his smile beaming with delight. With the bride's departure from the pavilion, the dowries followed in a grand procession, numbering a staggering 99. The villagers of Shouting, as well as the Zhao clan members, were left astounded and impressed. The wealth of the Xiao family was truly remarkable. Initially, there were skeptics among the villagers who doubted the tales shared by the visiting uncles and aunties from the Zhao family. However, witnessing the extravagant display of wealth firsthand, they had no choice but to accept the truth. Even though a significant portion of the dowry comprised gifts bestowed by Zhao Shu, the Xiao family's generosity was unmistakable. Moreover, they had procured the rest of the dowry with their own resources. Accompanied by Ms. Fang's family, the bridal entourage was escorted to the village's entrance. As they watched the procession depart joyfully, Ms. Fang couldn't help but feel a mixture of emotions. Happiness and relief mingled with sadness and nostalgia. Tao Tao, her beloved daughter, was now a wife belonging to another family. Chapter 1992. Ms. Ma is getting more enthusiastic. Qiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni tactfully ignored mother-in-law's teary eyes, choosing instead to offer comforting words about Tao Tao's bright future. Their laughter helped ease the tension, and Ms. Fang visibly relaxed. Realizing that crying on such a joyful occasion wouldn't be appropriate, Ms. Fang regained her composure. She took solace in the fact that Tao Tao was marrying into a family where she wouldn't be mistreated. If Tao Tao ever wished to return, she could do so freely, maintaining contact with her birth family. With spirits lifted, Ms. Fang invited everyone to return to the banquet. Despite initial reluctance from Ms. Ma and third uncle, they couldn't afford to snub the event. The thought of the first section of the family seizing the marriage left them feeling aggrieved. However, boycotting the celebration would only fuel rumors of discord within their own branch of the family. How could this be tolerated? The couple begrudgingly accepted their fate. Xiao Xiaoji remained absent throughout the entire affair. Ever since her unsettling encounter with Zhao Shu, she couldn't bear to dwell on thoughts of him. Though she still harbored a secret admiration, it was tainted with other, less savory emotions. Nevertheless, she couldn't shake her resentment towards Tao Tao. As Tao Tao's grand wedding unfolded, Xiao Xiaoji refused to attend out of spite. And Ms. Ma, understanding her daughter's feelings, didn't push her to go. If anyone inquired, they would be informed that Xiao Xiaoji was unwell and resting at home. When questioned about Xiao Xiaoda's absence, Ms. Ma's response dripped with jealousy. Suspecting ulterior motives behind the inquiry, she haughtily proclaimed that her Xiaoji wasn't in a rush. Once her husband Lu Lang ascended to a high-ranking position in the capital, they would secure a prestigious match for Xiaoji from an official family. If a brother who has risen to a high position doesn't look out for his sister, then who will? They share the same blood. Xiaoji must marry into an official's family, no question about it. The status of an official's wife is prestigious and esteemed. Who wouldn't show respect to her? She's in a league of her own compared to mere rich folks and businessmen. Ms. Ma's fervor only intensified as she spoke, displaying a clear disdain for businessmen. Her words left the relative who had inquired feeling deeply embarrassed. He wanted to interject, but found himself at a loss. To be frank, his question had been rather casual. He never anticipated Ms. Ma would seize upon it as an opportunity to expound on Tao Tao's husband. Had he known better, he wouldn't have asked at all. The others at the same table felt a similar sense of discomfort. Even if there were a couple of curious onlookers who were intrigued by the drama, they dared not utter a word. Better to simply listen and avoid stirring the pot. Nobody wanted to risk Ms. Ma's ire. Not everyone possessed Ms. Ma's audacity, nor did they share her lack of tact. Why did she choose the wedding banquet to air her grievances? Ms. Fang and Qiao Xian remained oblivious to the underlying tension. Ms. Ma's continued commentary proved futile. It was evident to everyone that her remarks stemmed from jealousy. But Ms. Fang silently removed 2 items she had intended to include in Xiao Xiaoda's dowry. If you hold merchants in contempt, then don't accept gifts procured through their commerce. As the festivities drew to a close, relatives and friends dispersed, leaving the household to tidy up. By the time dusk fell, the chores were mostly completed. Chapter 1993. This begins while the house fell silent. It also seemed to be empty. Without Tao Tao, everyone was not used to it. However, no one said anything. Everyone was trying their best to adapt. Ms. Fang's gaze fell upon Anan, Xiao Qing, Xiao Junyan and the other grandchildren. Her expression softened, and she smiled, a sense of relief washing over her. Indeed, wasn't it so? While his children had already begun their own families, there were still his grandchildren. The household would soon be bustling with life again. Upon their return home, the sight of Zhao Shu with Tao Tao filled Ms. Fang, eldest uncle, and the others with joy. Their hearts swelled as they witnessed Zhao Shu's tender care for Tao Tao, and the respectful demeanor of the Zhao family servants towards her. Ms. Fang felt a weight lift off her shoulders. Ms. Chiao had been right. Their family could provide Tao Tao with support and a solid foundation, but her future livelihood would ultimately be in her own hands. From all indications, this was a promising beginning. As Tao Tao and Zhao Shu prepared to depart, serving tea and bidding farewell, it was clear that they needed to return to the Zhao family promptly. Zhao Shu had the responsibility of introducing Tao Tao to the elders and the broader family lineage, tasks of utmost importance that couldn't be delayed. Both Ms. Fang and eldest uncle concurred with this decision. After a lively lunch, Ms. Fang took Tao Tao aside. Holding her hand as they conversed privately, she imparted advice, guiding Tao Tao on what lay ahead. Later, Tao Tao informed Xiao Xian that she and Zhao Shu planned to visit fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law in An's province after departing from the Zhao family clan. Xiao Xian nodded approvingly, his smile warm. No need to worry. I believe brother-in-law enjoys exploring too. Take your time. We'll meet eventually. As the clock struck past 4 in the afternoon, Tao Tao reluctantly bid farewell, unable to linger any longer. With Zhao Shu by her side, she departed. Ms. Fang remained in a daze even after Tao Tao's departure. Her little Tao Tao was truly married now. Initially, Ms. Fang had assumed that Xiao Xian and her son would return to An's province after Tao Tao's departure, leaving her feeling disheartened. The sudden departure of everyone all at once was difficult for her to accept. Upon hearing Xiao Xian's announcement that she would stay home for another 7 or 8 days, Ms. Fang couldn't contain her joy and readily agreed. During those subsequent days, Xiao Xian wandered around the estate once more, paying particular attention to the flower field and the tea house. Tao Tao had been responsible for overseeing the flower field, and upon her departure, she entrusted it to Chunyu. As Tao Tao's assistant, Chunyu was well versed in every aspect of the task, and her heart brimmed with joy at the responsibility bestowed upon her. Meanwhile, Ms. Su and Yang Xiaoni expressed eagerness to assist but soon realized they lacked the expertise to fulfill Tao Tao's duties, ultimately resigning from the endeavor. Handing over the responsibility to Chunyu was deemed a wise decision. Both Ms. Su and Yang Xiaoni felt that as long as it wasn't entrusted to someone else, everything would be fine. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing for them to handle. Xiao Xian stayed at home for a few more days and stayed at First Madame's place for 3 days. She checked the orchards outside the city, and it was almost April when she returned to the state city of An's. After a lengthy journey, they were finally reunited. Xiao Yinduan remained with Xiao Xian for a few days. Late spring had already ushered in scorching temperatures. Within the final stretch of spring, various flowers and trees brimmed with energy, preparing for the impending summer. The air hung heavy with the sweet scent of blossoms, inducing a sense of lethargy and drowsiness. It was a time when warmth enveloped everything, coaxing people into a state of relaxation, disinclined to engage in any activity. Following a period of rest and recuperation, Xiao Xian caught up with Songshi, Mianmian and the others. Subsequently, she summoned Kai Yue and Kai Hua, inquiring about any transpired events within the mansion during her absence. Chapter 1994. This is ridiculous. Xiao Xian's inquiry was merely casual. As the mistress of the house, she was merely displaying her demeanor. She hadn't anticipated any significant events occurring within the residence. Her husband's unwavering attachment to her was evident in his gaze, doting, gentle, and brimming with genuine affection. Such sentiments couldn't be feigned. To her surprise, Kai Yue and Kai Hua exchanged a peculiar smile. "We've been waiting for the right moment to inform you, madam. It's quite an amusing tale," Kai Yue began. "Yes, indeed. It's rather ridiculous. Madam, consider it more of a jest," Kai Hua chimed in. Perplexed, Xiao Xian shot them a quizzical glance. "You're both being cryptic. Just tell me what's going on." She had assumed that any trouble brewing would involve the Mei family, but it turned out to be the Fan family. It appeared that Fan Ruyan's daughter, Bai Ruerui, had collided with Xiao Yunduan's carriage while Xiao Yunduan was inspecting the road construction near the Fan family's estate. Bai Ruerui, perhaps lost in the scenery, had failed to notice the approaching carriage. Thankfully, Yi was at the reins that day. His strength allowed him to swiftly pull the reins, redirecting the carriage with a forceful maneuver. Otherwise, Bai Ruerui might have suffered severe injuries. Due to the sudden jolt, the carriage's axle and wheels snapped, causing Xiao Yunduan and Qin Yan inside to collide painfully with the carriage walls. The incident left everyone shaken, their bodies drenched in cold sweat as they rushed to assist. Bai Ruerui appeared utterly stunned, her widened eyes and pallid face betraying her shock. When a guard attempted to assist her, she emitted a feeble scream. Finally catching up, the maidservant and elderly woman accompanying her shared in the shock at the sight. Qin Yan assisted Xiao Yunduan out of the carriage, unleashing a torrent of furious rebukes at the Fan family's servants. Had Bai Ruerui not been in tears, he would have scolded her as well. How could she be so careless? It was only thanks to Yi's strength and quick action that the situation hadn't turned tragic. Observing the aftermath, the servants from the Fan family realized the gravity of the situation. They dared not utter a word and instead listened to the admonishments with humility, fully aware of their fault. Bai Ruerui trembled uncontrollably, tears streaming down her face. Having been previously deceived by the Mei family during the Lantern Festival, Xiao Yunduan approached such situations with extreme caution. He had no intention of lingering any longer and delegated the aftermath to Qin Yan and the 3 bailiffs. Opting for a horse, he swiftly departed with Yi and the others. Bai Ruerui, still shaken, mustered the strength to speak through her sobs. Clutching the maid's arm, she attempted to halt Xiao Yunduan's departure. I deeply regret my actions today. I never anticipated your carriage passing by at that moment. Please, consider moving to the Fan family mansion as a gesture of apology. We can provide you with a new carriage as compensation. If you hadn't swerved to avoid me, I might have. I haven't properly thanked you for saving my life. Xiao Yunduan cast her a cold glance before departing without uttering a word. Struggling to find her voice, Bai Ruerui hesitated. Her words caught in her throat. Qin Yan regarded Bai Ruerui with disdain, a sneer curling his lips. Let's hope this truly was an accident. But if someone is trying to orchestrate harm upon themselves, be warned. Think twice. You might end up in a worse predicament. Bai Ruerui, her face buried in her hands, broke into fresh sobs. Explain yourself, she demanded amidst her tears. Chapter 1995. Anger. Qin Yan let out an even louder snort before falling silent. How could he possibly clarify the situation? He already regretted his earlier words. Could he openly accuse Bai Ruerui of harboring ulterior motives, of attempting to seduce his lord? As the lord's personal attendant, his words carried weight. His previous mockery had stemmed from genuine anger. But if he were to repeat such accusations and Bai Ruerui caught wind of it, what chaos would ensue? It would irreparably tarnish her reputation. Yet, Qin Yan found himself baffled by Bai Ruerui's persistent pursuit. Could she truly harbor such intentions? Was she out of her mind? If that were the case, then it seemed she had come prepared. It was a situation beyond his control. With a decisive turn, Qin Yan distanced himself from Bai Ruerui, opting to ignore her entirely. Unable to chase after him or demand answers, Bai Ruerui was left with her regret, her sobs intensifying. She was truly terrified, utterly shaken. She had believed she had calculated the distance accurately, but the reality had proven far more perilous than she had anticipated. As she watched the hoof barely a foot from her head, poised to descend in the next moment, she was gripped by sheer terror. She thought she had crossed the line and was doomed. To her surprise, she emerged unscathed. In that moment, she felt a pang of regret. Why hadn't she sustained any injuries? If she had been injured, Lord Xiao wouldn't have been able to depart. Qin Yan instructed one of the bailiffs to slowly escort the carriage back to the city while he accompanied 2 others to return Bai Ruerui to the Fan family mansion. He recounted the incident to ensure there would be no misunderstandings. Finally, he sternly reprimanded the Fan family. The young master and miss should consider assigning more guards when they venture out. If a similar incident were to occur again, luck might not be on their side. Following that day, Bai Ruirui appeared before Xiao Yunduan on 3 additional occasions, twice accompanied by Fan Ruyan. Xiao Yunduan's patience reached its limit, and he publicly scolded them both. Bai Ruirui and her mother left in disgrace, much to the amusement of onlookers. Xiao Xian's lips twitched at the account. Her husband seemed to attract the attention of such incompetent women. "Have you uncovered the reason behind Miss Bai's behavior?" she inquired. Kai Hua and Kai Wa shook their heads, indicating they were unaware of any underlying reasons behind Bai Ruirui's behavior. However, rumors circulated that the 2 elder masters of the Fan family were highly displeased with the situation, leading to confrontations with Fan Ruyan. They were adamant about putting an end to the antics of the mother and daughter duo. Nevertheless, it seemed the old lady of the Fan family was more concerned about her kin, causing further turmoil. Xiao Yunduan hadn't mentioned any of this to Qiao Xian, suggesting he hadn't unearthed any significant revelations. Qiao Xian pondered briefly but opted not to inquire further. To both of them, this appeared to be a trivial matter not worth dwelling on. Aware of the situation, Qiao Xian resolved to remain vigilant. Could it be that the incompetents from the Fan family sought to emulate the Mei family's failed attempt? What if they succeeded? Would that not demonstrate their superiority over the Mei family? Unbeknownst to her, Bai Ruirui had narrowly avoided a grave incident when she halted the carriage that day. Subsequently, she faced repeated questioning from Fan Ruyan. Initially, Bai Ruirui had attempted to deceive her, but Fan Ruyan wasn't one to be fooled twice. Bai Ruirui's attitude toward Qiao Xian had notably shifted during the previous home banquet, leaving Qiao Xian unsettled. And now, she narrowly escaped another collision with Prefect Xiao's carriage. An accident? Fan Ruyan dismissed the notion entirely. Chapter 1996. Dream Fan Ruyan staunchly refused to believe that her daughter would intentionally endanger herself by rushing out to stop the carriage. Her recent mood had soured considerably. Her relationship with her mother had deteriorated, leaving her feeling partly responsible for the decline of the Fan family. She was certain her mother held her accountable for their misfortunes. As for her brothers and sisters-in-law, they treated her as the scapegoat, eagerly wishing to cast her out. Even the servants within her courtyard bore the brunt of the household's turmoil. But she felt powerless to change the situation. At times, she couldn't help but feel a sense of disappointment. She had been groomed to be the elder miss of the Fan family since childhood. Why should she be forced into marriage as an adult? Why couldn't she assert her rightful position as the miss of the Fan family, who had the authority to look down upon her, while she could bear the scorn from others? There were moments when the injustice burned within her like a raging fire. Yet, even her own flesh and blood daughter dared to deceive her. How could she tolerate such betrayal? Fan Ruyan was no fool, particularly in matters of sensitivity. This time, Bai Ruirui's attempts at deception fell flat. Pushed to her breaking point, she tearfully confessed the truth. However, the truth resembled more of a fabrication, stoking Fan Ruyan's wrath to new heights. Bai Ruirui's tears only intensified after being scolded for her honesty, her heart heavy with grievance. Witnessing her daughter's distress, Fan Ruyan wavered once more. Perhaps this time, she should believe her daughter's account. After all, her anguish seemed genuine. However, the story seemed too fantastical to be true. Fan Ruyan consoled Bai Ruirui and delved further into the details. Eventually, she found herself inclined to believe her daughter's tale. Bai Ruirui confided in her mother, revealing that during a bout of high fever, she had entered a dreamlike state. In this dream, she gleaned insights and knowledge. She became aware that Xiao Yunduan wasn't just an ordinary prefect. He was destined for greatness. The dream, with its vivid and surreal nature, left her shaken. Initially skeptical of such phenomena, Bai Ruirui found herself astounded when events unfolded in the following days, aligning with her dream. In light of this revelation, how could Bai Ruirui harbor any doubts? Moreover, considering Xiao Yunduan's remarkable achievements at such a young age and his promising future, it was plausible that he would encounter influential figures even in the remote region of An's province. With the impending closure of the village shop, Bai Ruirui couldn't bear to let the opportunity slip through her fingers. If the chance was within reach, why should she relinquish it? Regardless of the risks, getting close to Xiao Yunduan seemed like a gamble worth taking. Fan Ruyan and her daughter felt a surge of determination and fervor. Though her siblings-in-law now despised her, blaming her for the family's woes, Fan Ruyan harbored visions of a future where her daughter's success would elevate the Fan clan to new heights. If her daughter could bring glory to the family and support its prosperity, what recourse would her detractors have then? When the time came, she vowed to exact revenge for the humiliation they inflicted upon her. They would rue the day they underestimated her. It wasn't too late to seek retribution, and Fan Ruyan was prepared to endure any hardships. Thus, Bai Ruerue and her daughter began to strategize. However, their attempts ended in repeated failures, becoming fodder for gossip and causing considerable embarrassment to the elder masters of the Fan family. Eventually, they were placed under house arrest, with even old Lady Fan withholding her support. Frustrated and desperate, Fan Ruyan and her daughter exhausted every avenue to no avail. They could only bide their time at home, seething with anger and anxiety. With Madame Xiao back in the picture, stirring up trouble was out of the question. It was best to exercise patience for now. After all, opportunities would surely arise. Due to this, Xiao Xian returned to An's city without encountering any further disturbances. Fan Ruyan and her mother seemed to have ceased causing trouble altogether. Chapter 1997. Spring farming. As spring plowing approached, the pace of road construction in An's province slowed temporarily. Labor became scarce as the priority shifted to preparing the fields for planting. After the fields were plowed, seedlings were planted, and crops like melons and beans were sown, there would be another surge of activity following the Dragon Boat Festival. Funds were allocated, and road repairs focused on widening and reinforcing existing foundations. Though there were numerous twists and turns requiring alterations, the workload remained manageable. Repair efforts had already commenced in the 8 towns closest to the state city, requiring minimal adjustments. Barring any unforeseen tensions, the remaining 9 locations, including Hundred Spirit Town and Gulwan Town, the furthest away, were slated for completion by August 15th. Upon completion, the repaired road would significantly enhance travel convenience for commoners, reducing travel time and effort for ox carts and other modes of transportation. The populace lauded the prefect's state's lord as a benevolent leader, dedicated to serving the people's needs. Meanwhile, the procurement of rice seeds for An's province followed the customary practices of the Great Qin Empire. Overseen by government supervision, local merchants collaborated to fulfill this task, though their profit margins remained slim due to low prices. Despite the minimal financial gain, these merchants participated out of obligation rather than expectation of profit. Despite the lack of profitability, those eligible still vied for the opportunity, eager to secure their share of the benefits. While the business trip itself may not yield substantial gains, it carried its own advantages. Firstly, it could foster a favorable relationship with the lord of the prefect. Secondly, the government might offer discounts or compensations elsewhere, ensuring it was not a loss overall. With potato planting season approaching, Xiao Xian instructed Songshi and Lu Fu to remind others not to overlook this task. Many had indeed forgotten about planting potatoes until the reminder. Hastily, they retrieved the potato seeds stored in the corners of their cellars. The community held great respect and trust for Lord Xiao, recognizing his efforts in combating banditry and improving infrastructure. Given Madame Xiao's emphasis on the importance of potatoes, it was evident they held significant value and should be planted with care. Many families who did not buy potatoes to plant at that time even asked around to see if anyone could give them some. Xiao Xian couldn't contain her joy upon hearing the news. It was a tremendous relief. She was confident that An's province would yield a bountiful potato harvest this year. With the successful cultivation this year, future reminders would become unnecessary as the scale of potato cultivation naturally expanded. The versatility of potatoes made them invaluable. They could serve as both a staple food and a vegetable. It would be foolish not to plant them. Although An's province boasted abundant fields, potatoes were undeniably a game changer. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had become prominent landowners in An's province, with ownership of 60,000 mu of fertile land, a significant holding. However, Xiao Xian entrusted the management of the planting to the housekeeper, showing little interest in the specifics. She merely visited occasionally to inspect new crops like peppers, star anise and spices, applying her expertise to ensure optimal growth. With the spring plowing season underway, and no major issues to attend to, Xiao Xian found herself with ample free time. With peace reigning in the countryside and Jia Heming's capable leadership, troublemakers were deterred. Taking advantage of the lull, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian decided to treat Ainan to a visit to Liuhe Manor for a few days. Chapter 1998. Liuhe Manor was steadily taking shape, with both the upper and lower sections of the mountain estate already constructed. Every detail was meticulously attended to, with completion expected by year's end. The main courtyard was now inhabitable, offering Xiao Xian and her companions a comfortable place to stay for a few days. Despite it being the prime season for planting and animal husbandry, Xiao Xian couldn't shake off her concerns about leaving them unattended. On this particular day, they set out quietly with a small entourage. The road leading from the official route to Liuhe Manor had been funded by Xiao Xian herself. It was her first time walking along it since its completion. The road was impressively wide, accommodating the passage of 2 carriages with ease. In accordance with Xiao Xian's specifications, the road surface was covered with a layer of gravel, compacted by massive rolling stones to minimize the roughness typical of dirt roads. Despite the durability of a dirt road, it was prone to developing potholes of various sizes over time, especially after exposure to the elements. Additionally, it was susceptible to water accumulation. A gravel road offered superior resilience in these regards. Resistant to the elements and facilitating faster drainage, the gravel surface promised quicker drying, even in the face of wind and rain. Trees were planted along both sides of the road, spaced evenly to create a symmetrical appearance. Approximately 5 miles along the official road, the landscape transitioned to pine trees, followed by inching trees further ahead. The inching saplings, each the size of an egg, already towered over human height. Tall and slender with sturdy main stems and long, delicate branches, they were a vibrant sight in late spring as their leaves unfurled. Though still young, they exuded a vitality that promised eventual shade and shelter from the sun. Empowered by Xiao Xian's influence, these trees would grow at an accelerated rate, transforming the road significantly within just 2 years. The mountainside was dotted with farms, sparking Xiao Xian's excitement at the prospect of staying there. She marveled at the advanced facilities and expansive vistas. From her vantage point, she could admire the starry skies at night and revel in the misty mornings, basking in the beauty of the rugged wilderness. However, Xiao Yunduan gently suggested, "Perhaps it's best to stay at the foot of the mountain. Climbing up and down multiple times a day can be quite exhausting, don't you think?" Though Xiao Xian hadn't considered this aspect, his words prompted her realization that ascending the mountain would indeed be time-consuming and laborious. Grateful for his insight, she chuckled nervously. "You're right. I hadn't thought of that. In that case, I'll stay at the foot of the mountain. It's much more convenient." It was a shame. There was something special about living on the mountain. Seeing the longing in Xiao Xian's eyes, Xiao Yunduan offered a solution. "We can spend the night on the mountain before we leave and return home the following day." Xiao Xian's face lit up with joy as she eagerly agreed. The manor at the mountain's base had been anticipating their arrival, and was fully prepared. Songsher personally led his men to receive them, offering warm greetings before guiding them to the main courtyard. Along the way, he provided updates on the villa's progress, noting that some areas were still under construction. Xiao Xian nodded, instructing Li Xia to ensure that visitors didn't disturb the ongoing construction sites. After checking in with Songsher, she strolled to the farmstead and spent time with Ainan, refraining from venturing further. Ainan, nearing 9 months old, displayed newfound mobility, eagerly exploring her surroundings. With a gleeful smile, she proudly presented Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan with handfuls of green foxtails, delighting in her discoveries. The next day, Nanny and the others were still playing with Ainan in the manor, while Xiao Yunduan was going out with Xiao Xian. Chapter 1999. Mountain. At this time of year, the outdoors teemed with mosquitoes and various insects, especially in the mountainous regions where strange bugs and ants abounded. Anan, being fair-skinned and delicate, was a prime target for mosquitoes. Staying within the confines of the manor provided a safer environment. Anan remained captivated by the novelty of the surroundings. Spotting a pair of rabbits in the farmstead, she gleefully fed them vegetable leaves, her delight evident. Xiaoxian had purchased 100,000 mu of land in Liuhe Manor. However, developing such vast acreage required time and resources. Currently, they had successfully developed around 70,000 mu, but due to a labor shortage, their workforce had dwindled to just 40 individuals, down from a peak of 300. Considering the challenges posed by the mountainous terrain, mosquitoes, snakes, ants, and rampant wild grass, Xiaoxian and Xiao Yunduan decided to halt further exploration for the time being and wait for autumn and winter. Xiao Yunduan agreed, noting, "Indeed, the mountains are overrun with mosquitoes, snakes, and ants, while the vegetation grows unchecked. It's not conducive for exploration. Well, wait it out." The risk of encountering hazards outweighed the benefits, potentially causing significant disruption if any mishaps were to occur. Given their statuses as the prefect and the prefect's wife, Xiaoxian addressed Songshi decisively. "If that's what Lord Xiao wishes, then let it be so. Inform the workers to depart tomorrow. Make sure to remember their names, and when we hire more labor in late autumn, prioritize rehiring them." Songshi readily acquiesced, offering a smile as he pledged to convey the instructions to the workers personally. He had been tasked with the hiring process by Xiaoxian herself. Having overseen numerous hirings in the past, Songshi understood the intricacies involved. Wages, daily meal allowances, medical supplies, tools for cultivating the wasteland. Each aspect required meticulous handling to prevent any mismanagement. While it might have been tempting for others to exploit such opportunities for personal gain, Songshi remained steadfast in his integrity. Xiaoxian and Xiao Yunduan trusted his character, and he was wise enough not to jeopardize his position with any imprudent actions. However, the same could not necessarily be said for all junior managers. Songshi recognized the potential for misconduct and ensured that strict oversight was maintained to prevent any mishaps. The cultivated wasteland had been sown with a variety of herbs, including false starworts, Gastrodia elata, King Solomon's seal, crowdipper, pseudoginseng, and angelica, as per Xiaoxian's directives. At this moment, the medicinal herbs had all reached maturity, easily recognizable with a single glance. However, the growth of the small seedlings was uneven, a common occurrence in cultivation. Xiaoxian diligently applied her wood power every time she inspected the area, a practice she continued today. A significant portion of the land had been enclosed on the side of the call, as well as the opposite kernel. Additionally, 2 plots of land in another nearby forest had also been enclosed. Within these enclosures, tall and spacious wooden sheds and houses had been constructed, surrounded by a flat expanse of land adorned with lush grass, plentiful bushes, and several towering trees. Massive rocks adorned with various vines added to the natural beauty of the surroundings. Observing from a distance, Xiaoxian and Xiao Yunduan admired the scene. Throughout the area, chicken farms dotted the landscape. Currently, one of these farms housed 500 chickens, consisting of 100 adults and 150 young chicks weighing less than a catty. In the future, only 2 out of the 4 areas would raise chickens simultaneously, with a rotation every 2 years. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2000. Chicken Farm. From a distance, Xiao Yunduan could observe a flock of chickens roaming within the enclosure, their movements occasionally intercepted by the fishing nets. Every so often, the air was filled with the resonant crowing of roosters. I made inquiries specifically about villagers skilled in poultry farming. They hired workers for 2 taels of silver a month and dispatched 3 clever assistants to provide aid. They've also been learning some valuable techniques. This old man is truly competent. He's been tending to these chickens since they were mere chicks. When he acquired them, there were just as many as there are now. Once they mature, we can acquire more. Xiaoxian had determined the appropriate size for each chicken farm, each accommodating up to 6,000 chickens. However, it was still too early for that scale of operation. Additionally, several mu of land remained at the base of the chicken farms, designated for cultivating vegetables to feed the poultry. Xiao Xian smiled. Proceed with caution, no more than 1,000 chickens this year. Songshi felt the allocation was rather conservative. He wanted to voice his opinion but hesitated. Eventually he acquiesced, saying, "Understood." Xiao Xian gave him a meaningful glance and offered a reminder. Ensure the chicken coops are cleaned and ventilated daily. With the weather warming up and mosquitoes becoming more abundant, it's imperative that the chicken's food and water remain fresh. Furthermore, smoke the coop with wormwood daily to ward off pests. Should a chicken plague arise, it won't be a trivial matter. Given the expertise of the individual you've enlisted for chicken farming, they must understand the significance of proper care, remarked Xiao Xian. Initially cautious, Songshi refrained from further comment upon hearing Xiao Xian's words. The duck farm was situated in the adjacent valley, a visit to which was planned for the following day. With this in mind, the group departed back to the village. Ordinarily, Anan would have been fast asleep by now, but today's excitement kept her wide awake. As Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan approached the village, they could hear Anan's delighted laughter ringing out from afar. Curious as to what was causing such amusement, they hastened their pace. Upon arrival, they discovered Anan gleefully playing with 2 rabbits. One of the rabbits had its leg tied with a rope, the other end of which Anan held firmly. With evident pride, Anan repeatedly exclaimed, "Bunny! Bunny!" as she paraded around with the restrained rabbit. The nanny and maidservants present joined in the laughter, thoroughly enjoying the spectacle. Spotting her parents, Anan's joy only intensified. Steadied by the nanny, she dashed toward Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, still clutching the rope and proudly displaying her furry companions. "Bunny!" she exclaimed, beaming as she embraced her parents. Xiao Xian was overjoyed and moved closer, wrapping Anan in a warm embrace. The trio enjoyed some playful moments together before eventually coaxing Anan to release the rope and accompany them back to the house for snacks. Lunch was soon served, with a delightful spread laid out before Xiao Xian and the others. There were stir-fried chives with shrimp sourced from the nearby stream, crispy river fish, dried meat bamboo shoots, cold vegetables with garlic and pigeon soup. The fish and prawns were freshly caught from the nearby stream, which flowed from the depths of the forest. The water was cool and crystal clear, teeming with small shrimps and fish the size of fingers. After the hearty meal, Anan finally succumbed to sleep, peacefully drifting off. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2001. Untrustworthy. The nanny gently laid Anan down on the bed, covering her with a small blanket. With the window open, a soft breeze entered the room, gently rustling the curtains. Meanwhile, Xiao Xian carried a bamboo basket, leading Xiao Yunduan up the mountain in search of mushrooms or wild vegetables. With one hand holding Xiao Xian's, Xiao Yunduan took the basket with the other, their steps light and their conversation lively. While Li Xia and the others were accustomed to such scenes, it was a rare sight for many of the servants in the manor. Witnessing their master's affectionate and carefree demeanor, they were left astounded, their eyes widening in disbelief. This was the lord of the prefectural state, the esteemed official of An's province. Who would have thought that the lord, known for his public authority, would reveal such a tender and intimate side in private? In the past, the area had been avoided due to the presence of mountain bandits from Liuhe Fort. Yet now, with the bandits gone, the forest was untouched, offering an abundance of mushrooms and wild vegetables. Xiao Xian skillfully navigated through the woods, leading Xiao Yunduan towards the areas where mushrooms thrived. Before long, they had gathered half a basket of mushrooms. The fresh scent of mushrooms mingled with the earthy aroma of the spring forest, creating a pleasant atmosphere. Spotting tender dandelion seedlings and mustard, Xiao Xian couldn't resist picking more. She even discovered a cluster of plump and tender wild wolfberries. Gathering a handful, she suggested to Xiao Yunduan with a smile that they should remember this spot and have someone transplant the wild wolfberries to the manor. That way, they could enjoy fresh wolfberry sprouts all year round. Xiao Yunduan smiled in agreement, taking note of her suggestion. With plenty of time left, the sky remained a clear, flawless blue, like high-quality glass. The sunlight bathed the landscape in a warm glow, casting bright beams across the mountains and rivers. As the sunlight filtered through the foliage, illuminating the forest, the gentle mountain breeze caused the plants to sway and rustle. Light and shadows danced in a mesmerizing display, with the grass and leaves shimmering like silver in the sunlight. Taking Xiao Xian's hand, Xiao Yunduan led her to a nearby hill, surrounded by dense foliage and offering a panoramic view of the mountains and rivers. Basking in the warm sunlight, they sat together, feeling content and relaxed in each other's company. Xiao Xian relaxed and leaned against Xiao Yunduan lazily, her body melting into his embrace as if she had no bones. Nestled in his arms, she murmured softly, I'm so sleepy. I want to sleep." Xiao Yunduan chuckled, pressing a gentle kiss to her lips before tightening his arms around her. "Then sleep, my love." With a contented smile, Xiao Xian nodded. "Yes, I will." Finding a comfortable position in his embrace, she closed her eyes and drifted off to sleep. However, it seemed that Xiao Yunduan's promise was not entirely reliable. Upon returning to the village, Xiao Xian's cheeks were still flushed, her lips tinged with a rosy hue. Her hair, neatly arranged, framed her face delicately as she cast a glance at the man beside her. Beside her, Xiao Yunduan appeared even more tender and attentive. He even offered to carry her back, his affection for her evident in every gesture. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2002. Duck Farm. In the evening, Xiao Xian prepared a hearty chicken stew, simmering tender chicken pieces with red dates, wolfberries, and huaishan medicine. Alongside, she cooked an array of mushrooms, wild vegetables, and bamboo shoots, creating a delicious feast. Anan, with a new baby tooth emerging, eagerly nibbled on some chicken, relishing the flavor. Xiao Xian also made him a bowl of noodles with chicken soup, which he devoured with gusto, emptying more than half of the bowl. Though the mountains seemed quiet, occasional cries of strange birds echoed from the distant valleys and forests, their rhythmic calls haunting yet oddly comforting in the stillness of the night. In the safety and warmth of the villa, surrounded by the soothing sounds of nature, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan found solace and tranquility. Even Anan, unfazed by the eerie cries, widened her eyes and perked up her ears, giggling in delight at the unfamiliar sounds. The following day, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan took Anan to explore the valley and visit the pond where the ducks resided. The valley was expansive and flat, stretching without ascent into the mountains. The weather was clear, and the insect population relatively sparse. Xiao Yunduan carried Anan in his arms, opting not to have the nanny accompany them. Besides Songshi, Lixia, and Kaiyun, only Yi and his two subordinates joined them. As per Xiao Xian's instructions, there were 3 duck ponds. One served as a free-range area, while the other 2 could be used for simultaneous rearing. Typically, the ducks were rotated every 10 days. During daylight hours, the ducks were allowed access to the ponds, while at night, they were kept elsewhere. Given the flowing water, this arrangement sufficed. Each pond occupied roughly 20 mu, with duck sheds erected nearby. Each pond housed 4,000 to 5,000 ducks. Although this setup was relatively spacious, the lack of medicinal interventions in ancient times necessitated a cautious approach. Additionally, the valley boasted numerous canals measuring 1.5 to 1.6 meters in width that crisscrossed the landscape. Once aquatic plants took root, these canals would serve as excellent environments for duck rearing. The duck farm was situated atop the land, encircled by a series of canals. These canals, resembling winding sutras, served as the initial conduits for the pond water. Eventually, the water would flow into an artificial canal, which in turn fed several interconnected ground reservoirs for irrigation. Subsequently, it would merge into a distant stream, ensuring it didn't affect the villa's drinking water. Currently, only one duck farm was operational, housing ducks at various stages of growth. Those raised over a month ago had shed their downy feathers and grown proper plumage. Approximately 600 ducks frolicked in the pond, their pudgy forms exuding vitality as they swam and vocalized. Anan, filled with excitement, pointed eagerly at the ducks, yearning to break free from her father's embrace and join them. Xiao Xian gently pinched her cheek and chuckled. You're quite adventurous, but you can't go into the water. Little Anan seemed completely unafraid, even mimicking the ducks' quacking sounds with delight. Enjoying their time by the pond, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan lingered a while longer, enchanted by the ducks' antics. With Anan by their side, the family of three reveled in the simple joy of the moment. Meanwhile, Yi and the others maintained a watchful vigil nearby. Suddenly, Yi's brow furrowed, a sense of unease settling in his heart. In the bright sunlight, anything reflective was easily noticed. Just a moment ago, he inadvertently glanced toward the nearby hill and caught a glint of metal. A telltale reflection that set his senses on edge. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2003. Strange light. Although it was only for a moment, Ada was sure that he could not have seen wrongly. In just an instant, it was enough to confirm something. Or rather, in just an instant, he did not dare to take the risk. He secretly regretted it. This used to be a bandit nest. Why was he so assured? He should have brought a few more subordinates out. Thinking about how Lord and Madam had insisted on their privacy during yesterday's mushroom and wild vegetable picking excursion in the mountains, he couldn't shake off the sense of unease, breaking out in a cold sweat. Thankfully, yesterday passed without incident. But now what was his course of action? He was clueless about the strength and numbers of potential adversaries. He couldn't even risk informing the two subordinates trailing behind him, fearing that any sign of tension might tip off the other party. The situation could turn dire. While the manor boasted many skilled subordinates, it was clear that help from afar might not arrive in time to avert disaster. Yi took a deep breath and made his way towards Xiao Yunduan. Yet he couldn't keep this information from his lord. He needed to seek his lord's counsel. His lord's intellect surpassed his own. Surely, there was a solution. Observing Yi's approach, Xiao Yunduan handed Anan over to Xiao Xian and stood up. As Yi drew near, Xiao Yunduan gestured for him to speak in hushed tones. Lord, listen carefully without turning around. It appears there's an ambush on the eastern hill. I'm uncertain of their identity or motives. Xiao Yunduan's eyes gleamed. In that moment, his thoughts mirrored I've been negligent. Considering this location's history as a former bandit stronghold, the presence of others might not raise eyebrows. But if he, the prefect lord notorious for wiping out 3 villages, were recognized, the situation could escalate. He should have brought reinforcements when venturing out. If indeed targeted, escape now seemed futile. With only Yi and the 2 others, facing a potentially larger assailant group would prove challenging. Except for the trio, the rest were mere civilians lacking combat prowess. Despite their anxiety, they could offer little assistance. We'll stall for time. I'll send Lixia, Kaiyun, and the others back to summon aid. Stay vigilant. Yi acknowledged. Xiao Yunduan, disinclined to conceal facts, beckoned for Lixia's approach. Lixia, having accompanied them to Qingdi, possessed resilience. Unfazed by Xiao Yunduan's directive, he nodded with a composed smile, departing with Kaiyun. A sigh of relief escaped Xiao Yunduan. These 2 were dispensable, and had their exposure not been swift, their departure would have mattered little. However, if the adversary remained vigilant and resolute on detaining all present, escape might prove futile. When Xiao Yunduan told Lixia to be careful. Unexpectedly, before Lixia and the others could take more than a few steps, 2 arrows whistled towards them. Yi swiftly intercepted, his sword deflecting the projectiles. Simultaneously, terror-stricken, Lixia and company instinctively pivoted to flee. How could they dare to advance? Yet, fleeing forward wasn't an option. They didn't even get the chance. 15 masked assailants clad in green materialized from the foliage, hurtling towards Xiao Yunduan's trio. Lixia and Kaiyun shrieked, huddling around Xiao Xian. Even Song's his countenance paled. Xiao Yunduan clasped Anan tightly, shielding him from the unfolding chaos. He positioned Xiao Xian behind him, shielding her as well. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2004. Assassinee blew the bamboo whistle, its shrill tone echoing through the valley, piercing the clouds. Regret not at Xiaoxian. Never did she anticipate an assassination attempt on her husband. Her lapse in vigilance was unforgivable. Had she been more vigilant, she would have detected the lurking assailants and dispatched them without hesitation. Yet all was not lost. Thanks to the vast expanse of the flat valley, Xiaoxian and her companions stood by the pond, a considerable distance from the hillside. Even if the attackers mounted a surprise assault, they couldn't materialize before them in an instant. This granted Xiaoxian an opportunity to retaliate. Restrained by the distance and dense foliage, Xiaoxian couldn't afford bold actions. She had to proceed cautiously. Consequently, Yi and the two guards, confronting a formidable foe, stood guard before their masters, refraining from initiating an attack. Helplessly, they witnessed as the 15 assailants, who had leaped forth, were swiftly impeded by the terrain. Stumbling over grass and rocks in the blink of an eye, screams pierced the air. Xiaoxian unleashed her full force without hesitation. She sent 6 assailants tumbling, intensifying her assault. The dense and resilient grass threatened to snap their ankles, while tiny thorns, ordinarily benign, transformed into vicious projectiles, piercing their flesh. Not only were Xiao Yunduan and Yi dumbfounded by the agonizing cries, but the 9 remaining attackers too faltered. They instinctively slowed their advance, casting bewildered glances at their fallen comrades. The leader's rebuke snapped them back to reality. With renewed focus, they disregarded their fallen allies, pressing forward with lethal intent. Xiaoxian lamented the swift approach of their assailants, realizing she had no choice but to relent, at least for the moment. If the situation escalated to a life-or-death crisis, she would have to cast aside all restraint. Yet, for Yi and his companions, the reduced enemy count provided a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. Standing by the pond, with its vast expanse behind them acting as a natural barrier, the trio only needed to fend off the frontal assault, ensuring Lord and Madam's safety. If they could endure for just 15 minutes at most, Sunbai from the villa would surely arrive with reinforcements. Yi's gaze swept over the 6 fallen foes, their struggles futile. Relief flooded his heart as he silently prayed. May the heavens be on our side. The injuries inflicted upon those 6 individuals proved unexpectedly severe. Not only did they suffer a loss of more than a third of their fighting capability, but their morale also took a significant hit. Yi sensed a palpable stagnation in the killing intent emanating from the 9 assailants who charged forward. It no longer bore the ferocity of their initial onslaught. This shift in dynamics worked in his favor. As the 9 closed in, Yi's lips curled into a cold smile. With a swift motion, he unsheathed his sword, a glint of silver flashing as he surged ahead. Another guard followed suit, brandishing his own blade and joining the fray. Meanwhile, the remaining guard stood steadfast, positioned protectively before Xiaoxian and Xiao Yunduan, vigilant against any potential attacks. Yi showed no mercy, delivering a powerful kick that sent one of the assailants hurtling away. The unfortunate individual let out a blood-curdling scream as he crashed to the ground, his body convulsing in agony. Though this tactic effectively sapped the enemy's vitality, it also stoked their fury, bolstering their morale. It was evident that the assassin's aura surged once more, fueled by indignation and determination. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2005. Like water, the assassin's relentless onslaught targeted Xiao Yunduan. Despite Yi and his brother's valiant efforts, they couldn't hold them off indefinitely. While the brothers could withstand the assault for a time, facing 8 assailants proved overwhelmingly challenging. Xiaoxian's expression darkened as she grasped Xiao Yunduan's sleeve, her voice barely a whisper. Husband, let's take refuge in the water. Seeking sanctuary in the pond would alleviate some of the pressure on Yi and the others. Furthermore, it would provide an opportunity for additional assistants to join the fray. Songsher, clutching a thick bamboo pole, nodded in agreement. Indeed, Lord. It's our best chance. Then let's make our move. Xiao Yunduan wasted no time, disregarding the pond's chill. They plunged into the water, navigating the depths with difficulty. Bracing himself at the rear, Songsher wielded the bamboo pole defensively, his complexion drained of color. Anan, initially protesting his father's embrace, continued to resist, delivering feeble punches. Yet Xiao Yunduan remained unmoved, his resolve unyielding. The little one's cries of frustration echoed in the air. Once submerged, Xiao Yunduan released his hold, allowing Anan to perch on his shoulders, his gaze fixed on the watery expanse below. He gripped Anan firmly with one hand while securing the back of his head with the other, preventing him from turning. Yet, even this slight glimpse was enough to ignite the little one's excitement as she spotted ducks in the distance, giggling gleefully and exclaiming, "Duck! Duck!" Xiao Xian gazed at her son with a mixture of fondness and sorrow, her emotions teetering between laughter and tears. In this dire moment, only the innocence of this child could elicit a smile. Witnessing this tender moment, the guard who had shielded them sprang into action, sword drawn, engaging the assailants. Yi, honed by rigorous training under Sun Bai and Sun Qian, and renowned for his valor during the eradication of mountain bandits, faced off against 3 assailants alone without faltering. Meanwhile, the other 2 guards struggled to contain the remaining 5 attackers, caught in a precarious position. Desperately, the 5 assailants pressed forward, determined to breach the defense line and reach the safety of the pond. With the trio's defenses wavering, anxiety surged within them, yearning for the reinforcements promised by Sun Bai and his cohorts. With a resounding splash, an assassin leaped into the water, followed by another. Cold dread gripped Yi and his comrades' hearts. Without hesitation, Yi wielded his long sword with lightning speed, driving back the trio with forceful strikes. With a swift leap, he plunged into the pond, creating a sizable splash. The 2 assailants who had entered the water earlier hadn't made much headway. The water's resistance and muck hindered their movement, diminishing their martial prowess significantly. Yi wasted no time, homing in on one of the submerged assailants and closing the distance with alarming speed. As he closed in, he swiftly drew his sword, driving it into the man's chest. A piercing scream echoed before the assailant succumbed to death, his body sinking into the crimson-stained water. However, Yi's momentum carried him further, and he too plummeted into the water with a resounding splash. Sensing the imminent threat, the remaining assailant attempted to strike, but his skills paled in comparison to Yi's, his attack missing its mark. On the shore, the assassins seethed with fury. Plop! Plop! Like a synchronized motion, they leaped into the pond one after another. Witnessing this, the 2 guards exchanged a glance before leaping into the water without hesitation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2006. Resolution. The sudden commotion jolted the tranquil expanse of the pond, startling the ducks into a panicked frenzy. Observing the startled waterfowl, Xiao Yunduan gestured for Songshi to approach with the bamboo pole, intending to further agitate them and drive them away. Meanwhile, Xiao Yunduan and the others pressed on, navigating the water's depths with difficulty, heading towards the opposite bank. With a nod, Songshi hastened over, his movements unsteady. From a distance, he bellowed at the ducks, brandishing the bamboo pole to splash the water forcefully. The pond, spanning over 20 mu, roughly the size of a football field, provided ample space for housing thousands of ducks. Yet, despite its size, it wasn't boundless. In mere moments after his arrival, while he remained at a distance from the hundreds of ducks, the flock erupted into chaos. Led by one daring duck, they surged forward, propelled by the wind. Songshi grinned with satisfaction, continuing his efforts to drive them away. Driven by his actions, the ducks careened wildly towards Yi and his companions. The once placid water surface now churned with chaos. Xiao Xian wasted no time, harnessing her superpower to bolster the feeble water plants at the pond's bottom, transforming them into formidable obstacles. In swift succession, someone's leg became ensnared by the seaweed, causing him to stumble. Before he could regain his footing, a lethal strike found its mark, piercing his heart. Xiao Xian couldn't contain her excitement. Meanwhile, Yi and his comrades were equally invigorated. With only 6 adversaries remaining on the opposing side, the odds were stacked against them. In a 2-against-1 scenario, their advantage dwindled further. The remaining assailants, driven by desperation, launched frenzied assaults on Yi and his companions, their eyes nearly bloodshot with anxiety. Their focus shifted from pursuing Xiao Yunduan and the others to combating the formidable trio. However, their efforts proved futile as they were thwarted at every turn. In a stroke of misfortune, each assailant found themselves ensnared by Qiao Xian's water plants, meeting their demise one by one. The murky water provided perfect concealment for Qiao Xian, her actions shrouded in secrecy. Unbeknownst to anyone, Yi and his companions reveled in their success, assuming the assassins were inept in water. As they dispatched their foes with gusto, they couldn't help but sneer inwardly. Landlubbers were landlubbers. What prowess could they possibly possess in the water? Regardless of their martial arts prowess, they were like fish out of water. In the end, the leader remained alive, albeit unconscious, as Yi subdued him when he attempted to flee. The two guards swiftly apprehended him. Xiao Yunduan signaled to Yi. Though Xiao Yunduan shared Yi's puzzlement regarding the assassin's aquatic struggle, he saw it as a stroke of luck. As Sun Bai and his men arrived on the scene, they witnessed Yi delivering the final blow to the leader. Their disbelief was palpable. How was this possible? As soon as they heard Yi's whistle, they immediately ran over and arrived in less than 15 minutes. They didn't expect the battle here to be over. Yi, has he improved even more? Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were escorted back to the manor by Sun Bai and Yi, leaving 6 guards behind to handle the aftermath. Once again nestled in his father's embrace, Anan began to squirm, clearly displeased. Dark. Uncomfortable. Don't. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2007. Escaped. As they returned to the villa, a collective sigh of relief swept through everyone present. After refreshing themselves with a shower and changing into dry clothes, they sat down to savor hot ginger tea. Despite their attempts to move past the harrowing ordeal, the lingering fear persisted. Anan, oblivious to the events, remained curious, yearning to glimpse the unfolding drama she had been shielded from. He longed to catch a glimpse of the ducks that had caused such commotion. As his parents leaped into the pond, Anan's delight bubbled over, his urge to dance and giggle irrepressible. Observing her daughter's innocence, Xiao Xian exchanged a glance with Xiao Yunduan and sighed. I never anticipated that those mountain bandits would harbor such formidable adversaries. Xiao Yunduan's gaze hardened, his agreement tacit. Indeed, it was unexpected. The intensity of their assailants' hatred was unmistakable, indicating a deep-rooted vendetta against Xiao Yunduan, likely stemming from their ties to the mountain bandits. Despite their victory over the bandit threat and the apparent jubilation that followed, Xiao Yunduan, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and Zheng Sang knew better than to underestimate their enemies. They understood that not everyone would be eradicated in their conquest. Despite outward appearances of triumph and security, there lingered a sense of unease. However, Zheng Sang and his associates remained vigilant, conducting thorough investigations for an extended period. During this time, no one dared to let their guard down. Contrary to appearances, Meng Wanfu's men didn't truly depart. Instead, they dispersed covertly, collaborating with Zheng Sang's team to root out any remaining threats. Their efforts yielded results. Those discovered and evading capture met swift justice, either falling on the spot or being apprehended for hard labor. Only after exhausting all avenues and confirming the absence of any lingering threats did activity gradually cease. Eventually, Meng Wanfu's operatives departed, returning to deliver their findings. Although this didn't guarantee the complete eradication of all potential threats, any remaining individuals were either skilled in concealing their identities and had fled An's province, never to return, or were inconsequential figures. While once invisible within the bandit stronghold, after its destruction, they could only evade detection through careful concealment. Nonetheless, they lacked the capacity to exact revenge. That's why Xiao Yunduan decided to relocate his wife and child to Liuhe Manor. Unexpectedly, trouble found them here. Thankfully, surviving such a perilous ordeal gave them reason to reflect later. Taking Xiao Xian's hands in his own, Xiao Yunduan offered gentle reassurance. The assailants today were skilled fighters, but we've managed to catch most of them. I believe this is an isolated incident. There's no need to fear, my dear wife, no more threats will come. Any further breaches of security would be a failure on his part as the prefect lord. Xiao Yunduan couldn't entertain the idea that Zheng Sang, Sun Bai, and Sun Qian were incompetent. He trusted them implicitly. In truth, he was taken aback by the day's events. Qiao Xian's smile faltered slightly as she confessed, I'm not afraid, but witnessing such violence firsthand has left me unsettled. Recalling the tense moments of the ordeal, she felt a shiver run down her spine. Xiao Yunduan sensed her unease, his heart melting at the sight. His wife must have been deeply shaken by the events. He wondered if she would struggle with nightmares in the nights to come. He resolved to offer her comfort and companionship in the days ahead, particularly during the nights. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2008. It's actually him. Yes, luck was certainly on our side, Xiao Yunduan remarked, feigning obliviousness to Qiao Xian's nervousness. With a playful tone he added, It's no wonder my mother always said you were blessed. Qiao Xian chuckled. I beg to differ. Xiao Yunduan joined in her laughter. Perhaps you're right. As they conversed, Sun Bai requested an audience, prompting Xiao Yunduan to invite him in. Qiao Xian excused herself, mentioning she would check on their son. Though Xiao Yunduan never kept secrets from his wife, and Sun Bai and their close confidants were aware of this, Qiao Xian preferred not to involve herself in certain matters. Indeed, Sun Bai's visit concerned the captured assassin. Upon learning the reason for Sun Bai's presence, Xiao Yunduan felt a chill run down his spine. He followed Sun Bai to a secluded area of the villa, where the survivor, knocked unconscious by Yi, was held captive and being interrogated by Sun Bai himself. To everyone's astonishment, when the veil was removed from the masked assassin in green, they were shocked to find the third old master of the Mei family beneath. Sun Bai and the others, who had encountered the third old master Mei before, were taken aback by the revelation. Despite their efforts to interrogate him, the third old master Mei remained stoic and unyielding, offering no response to their inquiries. Eventually, he simply shut his eyes, refusing to engage further. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, Sun Bai instructed his men to keep a vigilant watch over the captive while he hastened to report to Xiao Yunduan. Equally surprised, Xiao Yunduan wasted no time. He immediately dispatched Yi to inform Jia Hemming at the government office of the startling discovery. Xiao Yunduan instructed Jia Hemming to summon the Mei family's masters and stewards back to the government office for further investigation, particularly focusing on the two old masters of the Mei family. Instructing discretion, Xiao Yunduan emphasized the importance of maintaining a low profile and avoiding unnecessary attention. They should someone to enter the Mei family and place everyone in the Mei family under house arrest in a few large courtyards. Even a rough servant was not allowed to leave. Yi also knew that the assassin was third old master Mei and knew that this was no small matter. He agreed and immediately set off. Fortunately, the road was now clear and easy to traverse. Yi rode Thunderbolt, swift as lightning, ensuring a speedy return to the city. Meanwhile, Xiao Yunduan and the others realized they wouldn't make it back in time, and resigned themselves to spending another night at the villa. In a makeshift interrogation room, third old master Mei sat bound to a chair, his disheveled appearance betraying the gravity of his situation. Despite the presence of visitors, he remained unresponsive, refusing to acknowledge their presence. Approaching him, Xiao Yunduan addressed him solemnly. I never anticipated it would be you, third old master Mei. However, third old master Mei remained stoic, refusing to meet Xiao Yunduan's gaze or engage in conversation. Undeterred, Xiao Yunduan pressed on. Are you affiliated with the Tiger Head tribe, Liuhe Fort, or the Min family tribe? The question left third old master Mei visibly startled. Sun Bai, too, was taken aback, his heart sinking at the implication. He wondered if third old master Mei had been coerced by the mountain bandits, forcing him into an attack on his lord. Yet, Xiao Yunduan's unwavering certainty suggested otherwise. The revelation was jarring, leaving them all in shock. Third old master Mei's response was anticipated, but its implications weighed heavily. If he chose silence, did it imply acquiescence to Xiao Yunduan's suspicions? If so, what fate awaited the Mei family? With a derisive sneer, Third Old Master Mei finally lifted his head. I have no idea what Lord Xiao is insinuating. Are you suggesting I'm a mountain bandit? He scoffed. Ha ha ha, is Lord Xiao out of his mind? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible.